polarizing question. I think it's a false dichotomy. I don't think you have to say it's one thing or another, but their community seems to say that it's not a choice. So that's interesting.
Being skinny or being fat is about willpower, who you choose to associate with, what sort of things you choose to listen to, who you choose to kind of have as your friends around you and support you. All of those things are choices that you can make.
Yeah, and you could easily point it in the other direction and talk about the genetic components, the importance of those who raised you and how they taught you to think about food, the way that the frontal lobe developed when you were a child, meaning that if you had higher exposure to fatty foods growing up or unhealthy foods or ultra-processed foods, you may have a preference for that. It's not as simple as just this choice.
Even with the genetics that cause you to want to eat more, the same solution is calories in, calories out.
The calories in, calories out thing is true, but then there needs to be a little bit of nuance here. And that nuance is certain calories will lead you to metabolize foods differently. Certain calories will lead you to want to consume more or less of a certain food. And certain calories can be unhealthy for you for other reasons other than your weight. This is why we're always against starvation diets or heavily restrictive diets on this channel, because in many instances, they actually create more problems like eating disorders, disordered eating, unhealthy habits, etc.
I was supposed to get blood tested probably when I was very, very young, and I never did. And they had mentioned that it could have been because of my weight and how that connects with my thyroid. And I never had like that leaning parent to be like, go and get checked out, go and do this. Like, your weight is probably not your fault. It was always like, your weight is your fault, so that's your issue.
That's an unhealthy mindset. If I have a patient that has not been worked up for a thyroid condition, for other reasons why someone may be carrying excess weight, we absolutely would check those things. If you have low thyroid hormone, we can give you thyroid hormone to boost those levels up.
I mean, I also struggle with, thyroid and my own blood issues. I'm not quite sure, but I do see an endocrinologist and I go see a doctor.
And that's not available to everyone in the United States, especially those who don't have health insurance or are underinsured. And some people are insured but don't have adequate transportation, or they don't have paid time off from work.
As a disabled woman, I can't do a lot of the things that people say, calories in, calories out, oh, you gotta go work out and exert it. I have to navigate weight differently. I have to look at it differently. My weight is the way it is because of medication, because doctors put me in this position.
This is why the false dichotomy pops up in my head. If you're gonna be very stringent in saying being overweight is a choice, full on, you're neglecting a significant part of the population who may be having a side effect of a medication, because there's many medications that we could put patients on to protect their health that as an unwanted side effect, they put on weight or they're unable to lose weight as easily. And then there's those with disabilities that can't burn calories as easily as some who are able-bodied. So I think probably even a better conversation to be had here is obesity a disease? The AMA and all the major organizations have made it a disease process. They've labeled it a disease. The doctors who are saying that that's not helpful are usually pointing out that when a patient feels obesity disease, they feel powerless to make the change. The way that I like to think about it is on a population level, it's certainly a disease because it affects our bodies negatively. It's certainly contributing to a public health epidemic. It's actually happening pandemic really across the world, obesity. On an individual level, we need to have providers who have good relationships with their patients to make the call. Is this something that I can present to my patient as a choice that will get them motivated? Or is this something that we can help them navigate through a medical perspective where we can give them medications, surgeries, maybe lifestyle modifications if they are going to be motivated to it, and make that call on an individual level. But again, all medicine is practiced on population-based information and the research that we have there. And then we as providers have to look at our patients as individuals and apply that knowledge. So I still think on a population level, it is a disease. And then how we attribute it to each patient and how we help each patient navigate their condition, that's gonna be different. And that's okay.
I would rather be skinny than fat.
I think there's a lot of different struggles when it comes to being a bit bigger. I have a sister, she's 400 pounds, and she struggles a lot. She has lymphedema, and the to shower is really, really hard. So I do think for like an overall happy life and like zero struggle, I think I'd rather be skinny.
I think what we're pointing out here is something that I frequently talk about this channel when people in the past have accused me of being fat phobic, where I'm aiming to not just prolong my patient's life and decrease their risk of disease, but also improve their quality of life. And that's exactly what she's talking about here. Being able to be independent, being able to wash yourself, have less strain on your knees, on your hips, developing arthritis early, which means that you can't exercise or move up and down on stairs in your home. And I think saying I would rather be skinny than fat doesn't mean necessarily that you hate yourself if you are in fact plus size. If you're seeking to improve because you're constantly unhappy with yourself, that might be an unhealthy coping mechanism. But if you're seeking to improve because you're seeking growth and you see it from a positive aspect rather than a hate aspect, then that could be a very healthy mechanism.
I had the most body insecurities when I was small. And rather than trying to control my body to avoid that negative attention, I would prefer to address the situation as a society. We aren't feeling like I have to be a certain way that's normal in order to be treated like a human being and respected.
One of the big takeaways from her sentence there is that she talks about how we need to address this from a societal perspective. That's absolutely true. With the way our current society is fed, with the food products that are allowed in our system, the ultra-processed foods being more readily available and cheaper than true whole food healthy products, food deserts, areas where there's not enough access to good quality foods, all of those things matter. Now, the medical perspective has probably gotten more of a highlight with medications like Ozempic and the GLP-1 agonists, because that is more of a financial incentivized way of treating our obesity epidemic. It's much better to create a medication that you can make billions of dollars on than it is to create a sustainable change in our society that will lead to people losing weight.
I don't think skinny always equates to being healthy. I don't know where I'd want to lean at an appropriate weight level, but I think it's important to understand for some skinny people, we're not living a great life by any means. And sometimes I feel like that's always kind of lost in translation when they see someone who's really skinny.
Well, I think that goes to show that no matter what a person looks like, you can't know what they're going through. This is why, as a doctor, you have to walk into a room with a blank slate and not judge people, but at the same time be able to stereotype certain conditions in the sense of, okay, you're having symptom X, Y, and Z. That frequently, stereotypically, happens in condition X. So I'm gonna try and rule out condition X. So there is some stereotyping you're doing in order to come to a diagnosis, but then you don't wanna stereotype the person's behavior or their appearance. And it's very important to distinguish between positive stereotyping in healthcare and negative stereotyping in healthcare. Both truly exist.
America has an obesity problem.
I think we have a problem with how to treat obesity. I think we have a problem with how to make it so that it is not an epidemic. This is a systemic thing, that we are in a society and in an environment that breeds this. And we are doing it to ourselves, we are doing it to our children, and our corporations and our industries are doing it to us, and they aren't having to take responsibility.
This is true. The one thing that I have to point out is that this is a worldwide problem. As we have more access to food, and food is driving our happiness, and we are becoming more disconnected and more lonely, we seek food for comfort. And while companies certainly bear some share of the responsibility for making sure that they're not contributing to this problem, which they absolutely are, ultimately, it's not as simple as saying, hey, company, don't sell this product. It's easier said than done to villainize a corporation and then say at the same time, but it should be fair. How do we make that fair, that villainization?
And they're encouraging it with media. So
And the
Yes.
mukbangs, I was literally gonna bring that up, the mukbangs and like all those videos that just come up to
it's
trends for
insane.
people
not
to do
only
it as
the
well.
mukbangs, but also like Lizzo and other big like media.
I don't think I agree with that because Lizzo has been an example of not that we're celebrating that she has excess weight. We're celebrating the fact that she's not allowing people who are being negative to her about her weight and still succeeding. So we're celebrating her success, not the fact that she's potentially carrying excess weight.
She's dressing extremely scantily clad and then saying, if you don't think that it's normal for a morbidly obese person to be wearing a G-string in the middle of public, then you're the problem. And they're trying to normalize society to this obese culture, which is extremely unhealthy.
You do need to normalize it to some degree, and I'll explain why. We're here, we're not going back. And there's a significant population in the United States that does fall under the umbrella of obesity. You can't neglect that population. You can't be destructive to them and say that anyone who is overweight should not be showing their bodies, should be hiding themselves because they're not a good example role model. That is ineffective, and that is what fat shaming is. So instead, we need to celebrate people for who they are, celebrate people for the actions they take. If they serve as good role models, celebrate those people as humans and respect them as humans. And at the same time, we can give them access to potentially lose weight, to make other changes in their lives that have nothing to do with weight that can make them healthier. But at the end of the day, like, you can't judge someone for choosing to wear a certain thing because you don't vibe with one part of their health journey. Again, it's one part of their health journey.
What is an obese culture?
A culture which like normalizes
I'm obese
obesity.
and I haven't even heard that.
Well, obesity is already normal, so
Well, I don't think it should be normalized.
The problem is when she says it shouldn't be normalized, what you're doing is fat shaming. You're telling people that they're abnormal. No matter if you have good intentions with that statement because you want people to be healthier, let's say, that's not a valuable thing to say to the general public. The way it needs to be done is with them coming to a conclusion of, I need to be healthier, I choose to be healthier, and then society, the medical industry, helping them reach their goals. But to say that they're not normal, you're not gonna make positive change by doing that.
Diet culture has positive effects.
Diet culture is about turning the word diet from your overall eating into an activity that takes place over a period of time. A diet should not be something you do from January until May of next year.
Yeah, what you eat should be part of your lifestyle as opposed to like the activity you're doing right now. I have to point out here, the research that we have of carrying excess weight, specifically excess fat, shows that it shortens life, it increases risk of disease. The disease is not just limited to our heart and our brains, it affects all our organs, our performance, our quality of life, our chances for independence as we age, even our fertility, cancer risk, all of those things. So we absolutely need to approach this from a societal level, a medical level, all of the above. It's not a one-size-fits-all answer. And whether or not obesity is a choice is not as simple as saying yes and no. It needs to be individualized to the person sitting in front of you. And the strategies to help that person are gonna be different than the strategies you're gonna be help another person, or the strategies that we discuss on a systemic level. And I think all of those things need to be taken into consideration. We shouldn't just seek systemic change and forget about the medical perspective. We need to do both. We shouldn't just focus on the population-based changes and forget about the individual strategies. We need to be able to do both. That's why at the end of the day, having a good long-term relationship with a primary care doctor will go a long way to improving health outcomes. And I think that's the biggest takeaway. And the idea that the medical society is fraught with bias and all that is true, and that carrying excess weight is still unhealthy is all.
Study? Now you don't have to.
This is like the new infomercials. I feel like this should be on Goop.
Just pop one in your mouth and you'll be sick all day. Wow.
What? Who wants to be sick? Oh my God.
Chickenpox cherry.
Ew.
Pneumonia orange.
Ew.
Bleeding gums berry.
Did you say bleeding gums cherry?
Bleeding gums berry.
Oh, berry. Jesus Christ. What is it, turning into a hemophiliac?
I got the pneumonia.
No, you don't, my friend. If you had it, you wouldn't be chilling. Unless he had an atypical pneumonia, which is known as a walking pneumonia, usually as a result of one of these bacterias, which are not the normal ones that cause pneumonia.
I got the chickenpox. Yeah.
They used to have chickenpox parties, but they didn't put them on popsicle sticks.
Just pop one in your mouth and you'll be too sick to go to school.
You know what is not a good strategy by Sick Popples, the creators of Sick Popples, is that they chose diseases that actually have decent like complication and mortality rates, like that you die. If I had to choose an illness, I wouldn't choose pneumonia, which I can go into sepsis and then develop septic shock and die. I would go for like the common cold. And if I was gonna go for something related to gums, I'd go for like gingivitis or halitosis, not bleeding gums. So I start bleeding out of my orifices.
Lick till you're sick.
Ew. God, could you have made a more disturbing catchphrase? Lick till you're sick!
You have a broken leg and your hand's all smushed and it's all my fault.
It's not your fault.
Yeah, it is. If I'd seen that stupid truck coming, you never would have had to.
Hey, look,
His toes stick out of his cast.
This little piggy went to market.
It's actually ideal to be able to see the toes, so you could see if that you put on the cast too tight. If you start losing circulation, the toes will blanch or otherwise turn white.
Freddie!
Mom?
No, it's Carly. Your mom left. What happened?
I fell.
Are you okay?
Yeah, but I don't think I can get up.
That's why after we have an injury or something even more serious like a stroke, we get these modifiers, safety equipment into a person's home where we actually do a safety evaluation. Someone goes there, we put handrails, seated showers, entry guides into bathtubs. Like there's so many different things we can add on in order to make a bathroom, a living room more accessible and safe for someone who's freshly coming out of a hospital or a rehab center.
Everyone at school is saying you're a hero.
I don't feel like a hero.
Well, you are one. To me.
Something about this is just weird.
Look at your face!
And hold it, hold it, hold it.
Oh, that's a broken metatarsal.
I'm sure it's fine. It doesn't really even hurt him.
Whoa. That looks septic, aka infectious.
Hurry, hurry, something's going wrong. Oh, code red, code red.
What's wrong with him?
I don't know.
What's a code red?
Hi. Sorry to keep you all waiting.
That's okay, Doc.
How do his x-rays look? Well, not so good.
X-rays will show us if there's like an osteomyelitis present.
But his foot will require a bit of surgery.
Surgery, probably pins, hardware.
If he wants to have complete mobility of his left foot, we will have to operate.
Well, this is a little strange because it looks like the ER doctor is giving advice on surgical matters, which it really should be the ortho team doing that.
Will you be doing the procedure?
No, we'll get him a foot specialist.
I mean, foot specialist, orthopedist.
Once the foot is strained, the surgeon must carefully and slowly scrape the metatarsal bone.
See, I called that it was a metatarsal.
Woozy!
See, some patients love reading about the procedure they're going for. Some get woozy and do not want to hear about it. That's why I always ask, do you want to know?
My throat. I can't talk.
Most of the time, people think that this is a bacterial thing. Most times when you get laryngitis, like most times, viral.
What's wrong with you?
I think it's his throat.
It's actually his voice box, aka his larynx.
Open! Ew.
This is the worst fake special effects. What? He has a pulsating alien babies where his tonsils are supposed to be.
Your tonsils are awful. Those things are gonna have to come out.
No, we don't really remove tonsils that quickly. Like, if you have many instances of strep throat in a given year, maybe. If you have issues with breathing because of the recurrent strep throats, maybe. But we've drastically decreased the amount of these surgeries that we perform. Are we gonna take out the aliens?
We don't have any anesthesia.
Fine, then lamp.
Guys,
What are you gonna do with the lamp?
it's just such a...
Oh, that's medical abuse.
Come on, Amanda.
Do it.
Dig in.
Come on, you got it. This is easy. You got something?
You guys, I feel it.
Okay, that's not how we perform tonsillectomies.
Hey, that's a sandwich.
Yeah, he must have had it for lunch. I'll take it.
Ew. Do they know that tonsils are connected to your body? You can't just pull them out like a sandwich?
Feel something, you guys.
I think it's parainfluenza. Is that his heart?
You yanked out his heart.
You can't access the heart through the mouth. I think that goes without saying.
Wait, you guys, I think I feel his tonsils.
But then how did you put the heart back in? This is worse than Surgeon Simulator. When you just throw the heart, you dunk it into the person's open chest.
Oh!
Got him.
Ew.
Good job, kid.
My pleasure.
She said my pleasure. Wow, that was terrible.
Hey, Gail! Woo! Boy, soda!
I feel like I watched this episode.
It's back! Oh!
Honestly, I wish we could lock up more of the soda these days. so much added sugar. It contributes to so many problems. Childhood obesity, which yields early heart disease as adults.
Some sicko that put a chain around an orange soda cooler. Kel, Chris is the sicko. What's wrong with you?
Kel, do you know that last month you drank over $100 worth of free orange soda?
Really? I thought it was so much more.
It was plenty! From now on, if you want orange soda, you'll have to pay for it. And until you pay up, the chain stays put.
Oh!
You know what's unfair about guys? Most guys, if they cut out something small, unhealthy out of their diet, like a soda, they start to lose weight very quickly. But I feel like in my female patients, it's harder to just lose that weight from cutting out the soda.
Don't have more soda! I can't live!
Well, no, soda doesn't have withdrawal symptoms like you would have with other very addictive compounds. If you don't have sugar, you'll be okay. Can someone check his pulse, please? And if he's pulseless, please start chest compressions, chest compressions, chest compressions.
Kel, guys!
So, you know, we actually do this in patients who are hypoglycemic. Like if they dose themselves with too much insulin, you can lower your blood sugar so much that you actually need some sugar to help balance that out. Usually we do it in the form of orange juice, but you could use soda, you could use pretty much anything, as long as it has sugar. I have seen in instances where someone was hypoglycemic and someone happened to give them like sugar-free soda, and I was like, no. This is not gonna help the person.
It's flu season at Polk Middle School, so this is a good time to get to know the two different types of sick days.
Oh.
Type 1, when you're really sick.
Which is what those popsicle kids were doing earlier.
101. Influenza in bed. I'm calling your mom.
Well, wait. First of all, how did she diagnose influenza off just checking a temperature? Because pretty much every infection can raise your temperature.
Which means you should probably go home and get some rest.
And you probably shouldn't group kids together so that they all just infect one another.
Honeysucker will totally send you home right away.
Home? I've never missed a day of school in my life. I'll go home and they pride my perfect attendance record from my cold, dead fingers.
If he makes it another 173 days, we'll set a state record.
Anyone that sends their kids to school is doing the wrong thing because you're just infecting every other kid, not to mention every employee that works at the school, teachers included.
Are you healthy? This flu is nasty. Kids are throwing up like crazy.
Some kids do throw up with the flu. There's also the stomach flu, which is really like a gastroenteritis.
I am 2/10 of a degree from being sent home. I need something to keep me germ-free for the rest of the day until 7th period.
Perfect. No germs in there. It's vacuum sealed.
There's no such thing as just fully keeping yourself germ-free. Bacteria live on us, inside of us, and most of it is helpful. There's some times when our immune system gets weakened or we're exposed to some really infectious bacteria or virus that it becomes problematic. But we live in a pretty healthy symbiosis with bacteria in the world around us.
And where am I supposed to sleep?
You pretend to be sick and you can sleep in the infirmary.
Oh, no. No, I heard about Nurse Crutcher.
No, they have a new nurse. Want to see her?
Okay.
There could not be a more fake picture on that old phone. That phone is definitely black and white.
I think I'm coming down with a fever.
Oh, haha.
I'm just glad I have you to take care of me.
Oh, I won't be taking care of you.
Huh? What do you mean? What's wrong with this one?
He's very sick.
Actually, I feel much better.
Lay down.
No, seriously, I have. Lay down! Jesus Christ!
What school has an infirmary with full medical gear, IV drips? Like, we don't even have that in like legit medical settings sometimes. Why is she icing him?
To bring down your fever.
No. Most kids don't need their fever brought down unless something else is going on. You don't bring a fever down by icing a child because that's way cooling them to the point where it's problematic, not only to their skin, but also to their body temperature. Just take a medicine, an anti-fever medication if you really need to lower the fever. And even if you go into room temperature water, let's say it's like 70, 75 degrees, that water is significantly cooler than your body temperature of 98 or 100 if they have a fever. Putting a child who has a high fever into ice water, you could put that child into shock.
Ow, ow, ow.
What is she doing?
What are you doing? Feeling your glands.
Okay, but why are you wrestling his glands?
I don't know.
Stephen Harvey. Oh, I just wore that exact same suit on stage at the HLTH conference, delivering little pearls of wisdom.
Tell me something you'd hate to have happen while you're making love in an airplane bathroom.
What did he say?
What did he say?
Things you would hate to happen while you're making love in an airplane bathroom.
Turbulence.
You accidentally went number 2 in the wrong direction.
In the wrong direction? What's the right direction of going number 2?
Makes sense.
Misfire.
He's saying a lot of words right now.
Number 2.
I'm sorry.
Oh! Did he just tase him?
He tased his ass.
We're gonna have to try harder, team.
A taser is pretty dangerous, but not for the reasons most people think. Tasers are dangerous because when you get tased, your muscles involuntarily contract, therefore you can fall and have a concussion, all sorts of brain injuries. The idea of your heart getting really impacted by a taser, unless it's some like incredibly strong taser, or it's really close to the heart, or you're doing it for an extended period of time, by the time the current actually reaches your heart, it's pretty weak and it's not gonna be able to do much damage. In fact, when we look at patients who have been tased and we look at their muscles enzymes, which are released when muscles are damaged, we don't see an elevation. So while the muscles are involuntarily contracting, we don't see damage to the muscles happening in most cases.
Unfortunately, Ash and Tony, it's time to see what the Celeb Booster 7000 does best.
Okay.
I think I...
What is happening?
Oh!
Oh! Are these venomous? And I know to say venomous now, not poisonous, because everyone has left me a comment that I need to stop saying poisonous, because poison is what you take in by mouth. Venom is what happens when a venomous snake bites you.
For any bit of interest there.
So are these venomous?
Non-venomous.
Non-venomous. So they're chilling.
Oh my god.
Oh, she got eaten in the face! Right in the face! I mean, there's risk here. I mean, without even second guessing myself, infection, because you're creating an open wound. Even tetanus can occur here. And I know some snakes can lose a tooth and you can get a retained tooth in there. Woo! All our game shows that we had on our tour that I really hope you're coming to the live show November 17th at City Winery in New York City.
One of these triumphant arm waves dislocated Henry's shoulder.
No
When
way!
it was time to spin the wheel, his wife Alice had to do it for him.
Whoa.
As the show posted on Instagram, he won a trip to Hawaii and the ER.
That's incredible that he's fist pumping that hard that he dislocated his shoulder. There has to have been some prior history of dislocations, because when you have a history of a dislocation, you actually create ligamentous laxity. And when you have laxity in them, meaning that they're loose, the shoulder is more likely to pop out of the socket. And if your rotator cuff muscles and the musculature in that area, the stability muscles are not strong, that's another risk factor. So maybe we need to do some shoulder stability work.
Other contestants have hurt themselves.
No way.
Price is Right.
Oh, I saw the ankle. I saw the ankle. I don't think that she tore anything, and I don't think she broke anything, because the mechanism of injury was pretty mild. But if she fell and did it that way, she could easily have an avulsion fracture on the medial or the inside portion of her ankle, because that deltoid ligament is so strong. Or as my nephew said in the Dr. Mike Nephew's video, the delta plate.
The delta plate is very strong and it won't bend. So what is a delta plate? You don't need to know.
Nobody's safe. Definitely not the announcer.
Oh, maybe you shouldn't run backwards with dress shoes on a treadmill. I'm pretty sure that's in the warnings. Oh!
And the host, well, Drew Carey is in constant danger of being hugged to death.
That show is more dangerous than I thought. I thought Fear Factor or something would be worse, or American Ninja Warrior.
The enthusiastic dedication of fan favorite ninja Michelle Warnke Burma seems to be unbreakable.
Whenever they say unbreakable, it's like they're jinxing the person that's competing.
Warnke seemed barely fazed when she was struck in the face on the ring swing.
Oh my goodness! I think she banged her
She
head.
did, I missed it.
On closer inspection, it was clear that she had a nasty cut just above her left eye.
What?
There was no
Do
time
you
to
see
waste
it?
cleaning up. Warnke
It's so
ended up
fast.
with both a glaring streak of blood and a huge smile on her face by the time she completed the course.
That's one of the hardest challenges right there, doing the half pipe. I did that on Tough Mudder. Oof.
It quickly became iconic among A&W fans.
Whoa. That's badass. But I will say that was a really minor injury. It was so superficial, but definitely cool enough to win her like badass imagery.
Nebraska native Maggie Thorne is known for bouncing back from anything, but viewers saw this ninja take a particular wall up on the diving boards during season 11's Oklahoma City Finals.
Oh.
Hold on, a save. Hold on.
Oh. Is that person FaceTime?
She brutally face-planted against one of the boards, but was able to get her bearings before falling on the second half of the course.
I felt like I was more worried about her breastbone here, the sternum.
True to form, Thorne accepted injury and defeat with grace, but it was later determined that she had suffered a traumatic brain injury from her tumble. This required extensive physical and speech therapy that cost her an appearance on season 12.
Wow.
Nonetheless, she returned the following year, fully recovered and eager to inspire more fans with her resilience.
Brain injuries are no joke. You got to be really careful. And if you're having a lot of them add up, that's when you should have a conversation with your doctor as to whether you should continue, because the next one may be long lasting, chronic, maybe even lethal.
Gladiators was an amazing show whereby contenders from the British public
this
would
is
come on
cool.
and face.
I kind of wish they'd bring this back instead of influencer boxing. Not because I don't like influencer boxing. I love it. I just think most influencers suck at boxing. Shots fired.
Just a basic tug of war, but at a height up on platforms.
When the tilt started, you always had to think positive.
You got to keep your balance. Thinking positively ain't going to help if you're off balance.
To get to table back. Oh, she's lost the rope. She's lost her footing.
Oh, that could be a bruised spine.
I was out of action for a good 10 months completely, and then slowly but surely, after rehab, you were able to get back into the gym.
Months and months of lying flat on the back, months of rehab.
See, I think if we were to have one of these injuries happen today, there would be much less than months and months of laying on your back. I think there would be movement, gentle mobility early on, which actually speeds up the healing process.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's catchphrase.
The producers backstage, I was in my dressing room, and they came in and they said, Nick, bring the energy up. You gotta make it your show. Do something that everyone's gonna remember.
All producers say that, but like a little guidance would help.
I came on with so much energy that I lost my footing at the top of the stairs.
Oh, I
bounced
saw
all the
the
way down
slip.
and broke my leg in 3 places.
What? I felt like it was ankle, like lower tibia.
Actually, that happened yesterday, and I've just come back from hospital.
Do you think they had a sign say, "Aw"?
In best show business tradition, the show must go on. So welcome to Crutch Phrase. I'm Nick Weir, and I'm plastered.
That's actually kind of funny. Stairs are the best and worst human invention. So many injuries, so many fatalities, but so much freedom.
Over the last couple of days, I'm noticing that my wisdom teeth are coming in.
Oh, I know what that's like. I had to get all 4 of my impacted wisdom teeth taken out.
This is stinging, horrible pain, and this completely sucks.
Yeah, so it irritates your gums, creates enormous pain from the tooth. If they're impacted and they're putting pressure on one another, you can get infections in there. You could even form something known as a cyst, which can actually become so bad that they need to go in and surgically remove a part of your jaw. And removing impacted and crowded wisdom teeth is even more of a procedure than typically pulling wisdom teeth, because pulling, obviously you pull, but these you have to cut into the gum to actually get them out. Frequently you develop something known as chipmunk cheeks because they get so swollen, either at the acute stage or even in your recovery stage after the procedure.
Victoria, are you okay?
Hey, somebody's got to get in here. Somebody's got to get in here. Get a medic in here.
Check for a pulse.
I'm gonna pull you out of the bathroom, okay?
No.
You're gonna hurt your head.
I have a doctor on the way.
I don't have strings.
Keep your eyes open, okay?
It's so hard to know what's going on in that situation. The first thing that needs to happen is, well, we know she has a pulse because she's conscious, but get a really good vitals to make sure that you see that she's not tachycardic or bradycardic, fast or slow heart rate. Get a blood pressure, make sure she's perfusing her organs, and then slowly seeing how she reacts to getting some fluids in her, some sugar, all that stuff.
I am a nurse, but when I do take
take care of people that I know. It's way different than seeing a stranger.
That's very true. That's why it's advised to never take care of your family members or loved ones as a medical professional. Oftentimes, that may be very difficult to institute in real life.
Are you having any trouble breathing?
I'm just extremely sweaty everywhere.
That could be a sign of just a vasovagal syncope, or it could be that she's having a fever and she's having an infection from an abscess or something else going on. Let's take a second and talk about ShipStation, the leading web-based order management and shipping software. You see, the holidays are almost here, and as a new homeowner, that means I have a lot to do. Not only do I have to put up decorations, but I also got to prep for the holiday celebrations I'll be hosting. It's a lot, and combined with the added stress I'm feeling this time of year, as a small business owner who sells his own merch, I'm a bit overwhelmed. The holidays create a lot of headaches, especially when it comes to those inevitable returns, but not with ShipStation, who automates, recommends exchanges, and gathers customer feedback, so even if they bought the wrong size or color, they'll still have a great experience. Getting started with ShipStation has never been easier. You get a 60-day free trial, and the onboarding is so simple and straightforward. They've also got effortless integration everywhere you sell online: Amazon, Etsy, eBay, Shopify, and more. Over 130,000 companies have grown their e-commerce business thanks to ShipStation, and 98% of those companies that use them for 1 year become customers for life. Not to mention, you can get up to 84% off USPS and UPS rates. Set up your business for holiday season success with ShipStation. Go to shipstation.com/Dr. Mike and sign up for a free 60-day trial. That's shipstation.com/Dr. Mike. All right, let's get back to these game shows.
In 2012, singer and actor Ellison was in the midst of performing for the beloved Dancing on Ice. However, her impressive flexibility gave Ellison a big problem as she kicked the back of her head.
Oh, with the skate!
Making it really impressive, she finished her dance as though nothing had happened.
That's props. To be able to keep composure, maybe she should go into boxing, because that's kind of how I felt.
But afterwards, she immediately got medical help for the massive cut on her head as her blonde hair turned crimson.
By the way, the scalp bleeds incredibly because there's a ton of little capillaries in there, and we usually put staples in here, not even sutures. I'm not gonna lie, they're kind of fun to put in.
Thankfully, Ellison was fine and continued competing on the show.
See, like superficial injuries, even if they look bad or are very bloody, are usually not so bad. It's when you get rattled that is the problem. Because remember, the brain sits in a soup, and if you rattle the brain, you're hurting it 360 degrees.
Already a national treasure, Collins decided to have a go at Splash. With a show all about diving into a swimming pool, there's bound to be some injuries from getting the angles wrong as the celeb makes contact with the water.
Wait, is she diving?
We weren't expecting Collins's to be quite so
Whoa,
visually
that's very bloody. That's a serious hematoma. That's a bruise. But you know what's interesting that can happen off this? And I bet most people wouldn't expect me to say this. Something known as a fat scar, also known as fat necrosis, because there's a lot of fatty tissue in women's breasts. And if you get physical trauma there, it can cause scarring of the adipose or fat tissue. And as a result, sometimes if you get a scan, you'll see the fat scar, you'll feel the fat scar, and you'd be worried about it. But in reality, it's just the fat scar. The patient we see this quite frequently in is one that was involved in a car accident where the steering wheel or the seat belt actually put some pressure onto the fat, causing the fat necrosis.
All right, Johnny, Grant, you ready?
These shows always freak me out. Looks like a giant sperm in the water.
I've like booted my knee.
Oh no.
And I've just like strained it, I think. I don't know, I feel like I just like hypertension overturned it on one side.
It looks pretty swollen and discolored compared to the other one. Remember, a lot of times you don't know what's normal for the patient, so you have to compare it to the normal side. My journey came to an end due to my dumbass overcorrecting my jump. My MCL copped a serious flogging, meaning we had to pull stumps. What?
Australians.
So it sounds like the MCL got strained? Torn? I don't know Australian slang here. Someone help me in the comments.
Copped a serious flogging.
I mean, it got beat to shit.
It's nothing worse than having a depressed Carol chanting at your party.
No, it's oh my Lord.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. Oh my God. Are you okay?
Honestly, again, I would probably say there's no injury there. I would say no medical attention. It would have been worse had he hit the corner of the table than the breaking of the glass.
How many fingers am I holding up? 4? Close enough. How about me?
Oh!
I hate wrestling, I think they're all on the take. The way they throw themselves around, I'm sure that it is fake. The way they act, you think that they really did. But can they break a neon light by slamming it with their head?
Okay. I was like, I really have to figure myself out.
The reason that I really decided to do this is my friend Joe over here, my really good buddy, texted me and goes, can I say something with love, honor? And then he doesn't even send me anything. He just sends me a picture of me on FaceTime. And then I go, I know, I'm too fat.
Everyone has a different motivation for what drives them to want to make changes in their body. Some, it's appearance, others, it's their health. To me, the reason why I recommend it to many of my patients is because of their health. Ideally, I'm trying to optimize them to have the greatest chance of success. And when people say, well, you can carry more weight and still be healthy, that is true. Totally, it can happen. But the idea of carrying excess weight, why it's a problem, is down the line. It creates excess health risk moving forward in the future. So I don't just think about, are you healthy now and are overweight? It's, are you healthy now and will continue to be healthy, or are you facing increased risk?
This is my before body. Or if you're watching this video in 4 years, it may be my current body after a relapse.
Oh my God! It's worse than I thought.
What do you mean worse than I thought? That's basically what I look like right now.
I feel really uncomfortable standing like this in front of you guys.
Please put your shirt back on.
I was up close like a viewer would be, and it's pretty fucking bad.
This is a lot of body shaming happening right here, and I'm not entirely a fan of this. He's probably not carrying that much excess weight where it's gonna be health-wise problematic. If he says, I prefer to look a different way and I wanna get healthier and I wanna look more muscular, that's one thing, but like making fun of his appearance, it might not be bad for him, but it can be triggering for others. And when you're making content for millions of people, you gotta factor that in. I know people come after me for being fat phobic when I talk about weight loss in general, but I think when a doctor is talking about carrying excess weight and that excess health risk that comes with it, that's different than when someone is just poking fun at their appearance. So a DEXA scan is a body composition scan. The way we use DEXA scans in medicine is more so for bone density testing to make the diagnosis of osteoporosis or osteopenia. But what's cool about a DEXA scan is that it's also become the gold standard for body composition, which tells us how much muscle tissue, lean muscle mass, as well as body fat is present. And through there, we can do a little bit of a calculation, decide what someone's body fat percentage is. There are actually some error rates with it. And I know people say it's the gold standard, and that's true. Hydration status, sex, disease state, the type of machine you're using, the current software update that it has, all play a role in its accuracy and whether or not it changes from scan to scan. So it's important to keep that in mind and not just rely on that as the sole indicator for your health.
Your percentage of body fat on the DEXA scan is going to be 27.8% body fat.
Ooh, is that good?
No, my brother. That's obese.
No, it's not. Is it actually?
I believe the WHO does 25% for males.
I don't have a numerical goal where I'm like, I want 9% body fat or I want to weigh 160 pounds.
I don't think that, like, unless you're training for a very specific goal. Like, for example, if you're a marathon runner and you're doing it professionally and you chase a certain time, that makes sense. If you enjoy the passion of chasing something specific, you can do it. But health-wise, I don't ever push someone to get to a specific body fat percentage because we don't yet have good correlations as to what number is actually perfect for you. It's more of a single number that we look at in combination with all the other numbers and aspects that are going on in your life and health in order to decide whether or not you're optimized.
Mine is all visual. Like if I'm okay to look in the mirror at myself.
That's fairly normal and should not be judged.
Go!
So if he's going straight from being sedentary, going and starting to do miles right away may not be ideal unless he's comfortable with that kind of mileage. If you start too quickly, you can develop soreness, you can develop injuries, so much so that it demotivates you to continue working out. And it's all about being continuous. And remember, exercise is not the end all be all for weight loss. It's more about the diet.
All the way through.
That's pretty good. For someone just off the couch?
A lot of the people that do these transformations like kind of give up the fun part of their life. You know, eating good, fun things from time to time, and like that's what I don't want to do. I want to make sure like whatever I become or however good shape I get to, like I want to make sure I can maintain it.
Yeah, that's the problem. When people think about transformations, they think about it as a point in time as opposed to making a lasting, healthy lifestyle change. So it's good that he has that in the back of his mind.
Oh my Lord.
That's the biggest I've ever been in my entire life.
I've never seen people who normally weigh themselves with their shoes on.
So in order for him to retain muscle and lose only body fat, we're gonna be aiming for about 200 grams of protein a day.
200 grams of protein, he's 180. It's a little bit over a gram per pound. It's fine. There's been some arguments about getting 1 per kilogram of body weight, 1 per pound of body weight. Some people do more. Ideally, you should be keeping your protein intake pretty high if you're trying to minimize muscle loss when you are losing weight. And you still will lose muscle when you're losing weight, no matter how much protein you take in. It's just part of the journey. That's why people who are doing this professionally have periods where they're bulking, where they're shredding. It's not just year round, they're fully ripped all the time perfectly, because that's not sustainable. This type of high-intensity interval training has been shown to be really beneficial, specifically for fat loss, because it helps grow muscle, but it's not this long-standing cardio workout where you are also losing muscle. So the idea is mixing up workouts where you're doing strength training, high-intensity interval training, or moderate continuous training where you're basically walking 3-speed, 12 incline for 45 minutes. That sort of mix is usually the best outcome for someone who's just generally trying to get into good shape.
Like, well, who's your dream body?
Oh, my dream body? Tom Holland.
When he's ripped.
When he's ripped.
The problem when people look at celebrities, and I've done this myself, I went to the gym and hold a picture of Chris Evans or something and be like, that's gonna be me like he was in Captain America. 'Cause a lot of times it's not realistic. They get paid to look like that. So their lives are surrounded by dieting, exercising with professionals. Sometimes anabolics are involved, or they'll say that they need testosterone replacement, what have you. So don't think that those are realistic bodies that they're walking around year round with. It's just not true in the majority of cases unless they have amazing genetics or something.
And run and run.
The number is, you went from 27.8 to 25.2. Wow. You went from 46 pounds of fat to 41 pounds of fat, and
wow,
you gained 4 pounds of muscle.
This is the thing when you start an exercise program. The scale might not change as quickly. Initially it might, because you might lose some water weight, but then it plateaus because then you start gaining muscle, but losing fat. So you're creating a different composition of your body, but the numbers on the scale don't change. And sometimes that demotivates people. So it's important to look in the mirror and make sure that you're seeing the change as well as knowing your performance in the gym is improving.
I ordered 30 strip bucket for the ride, airplane ride, because we have 2 layovers.
How many calories do you think are in there?
In a 30 strip bucket, 12,000.
His whole mantra is that he wants to get fit eating whatever he wants. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't.
It's not about maybe it will, maybe it won't. It's about making sure the calories are correct. People like to dunk on calories in, calories out, and show every example in which it doesn't apply. But the reality is, it still applies. If someone has a condition that impacts how much they're burning, like if someone can't exercise, that's still impacting calories out. If someone has a condition where they have hyperphagia syndrome, where they're overeating food, that's still excess calories in. But if you control the amount of calories in and you control the amount of calories out, you will see results.
Obviously, I could see some changes with my shirt off. Like, in good lighting, I could take a solid picture. But like, with my shirt on, I mean, look at me. Nothing's changed.
Health has changed. That's the benefit. It's so wild, because if I came up to someone, I was like, hey, you want to live longer? Everyone will say yes. And then I'll say, okay, exercise. And they'll go, but will I look better? You're gonna live longer.
He's losing progress because of his diet.
How many french fries am I allowed to eat?
None, bro. Put it down. David, dead ass.
The fact that he's eating the french fries and drinking the Coca-Cola is not inherently a problem. The issue when you're consuming these refined carbs, quick digesting carbs, sugars, is that they're easy to overconsume. They make you hungrier quicker, so they don't keep you satiated. So as a result, they're easy to overeat. And when you're overeating and you're constantly hungry and you're getting these swings and crashes, it makes your diet usually unhealthier.
He's trying to prove to me that his method works.
Feels so good.
And this is not great, obviously, for cholesterol, high saturated fat, not healthy fat either, so.
My goal going into this DEXA scan is anything around 16.6.
15.7.
Wow.
Good work.
Yes. This is great news, being that you traveled for 2 months, but like you can't do what you did last month.
Dude, it'll go down again, I promise you. Okay, so the next goal would be, well, I'm traveling again. And this one's gonna be the worst one, because I'm gonna get sloshed this next week.
Something people don't consider is, yes, when you consume alcohol, it has calories. So it's easy to drink more calories, especially with sugary alcoholic beverages. But when you are inebriated, you are drunk, you tend to overconsume food in general and lose sense of how much food you're consuming. So it's easy to drink, pick up 1,000 calories just from the drinks, and then afterwards to say, oh, I'm so hungry, and just massively binge another 1,000, 2,000 calories. And if you do that often enough, that's not gonna be healthy for your body.
Today's scan, you're at 16.4. And the previous scan last month, 30 days ago, you were at 15.7. You gained a pound of body fat and you lost basically 2 pounds of muscle.
You know, they're doing so many of these DEXA scans. Normally, you wouldn't be super concerned about the amount of radiation exposure because it's basically the amount that you would get getting an x-ray. But if someone's getting an x-ray like every month, I would be like, do you really need that? Because those things add up. And while traveling and being on an airplane does expose you to radiation as well, it's like, you wanna limit that, especially if it's not for medical reasons. Like if you're getting an x-ray to check for a fracture, because you might need to intervene, that makes sense. But here, it's purely for entertainment, so I don't know.
He's been drinking whatever he wants, he's been eating whatever he wants, and you can only get so far with that type of mindset. I told you multiple times that if you're not like tracking what you're doing, you'll reach a point of diminishing returns, which is exactly what's happened. And your way is my way or the highway, and this is where it's gotten you.
Tracking isn't absolutely necessary. Tracking is valuable to get an idea and a sense of what's in typical foods. Because it's easy to underestimate, let's say, sugar content of some foods or overestimate protein content of what you would call a healthy food. So I like tracking to get a sense of things, or if you just need help because your life is so busy, tracking is valuable, but it's not for everyone.
We stopped seeing results for about 2 months. And in order to get him back to structure and discipline, we created the 75-day David Dobrik Challenge. The plan consists of these 4 key elements. Number 1, diet. So far, David's been eating meals that are high in calories but low in protein. McDonald's, Taco Bell, Subway.
These are just like the unhealthiest foods. And again, I'm not saying like you can't have one of these meals every now and then. It's just like consuming them every day like that is just, forget about the weight. Metabolically, it's unhealthy.
We're gonna replace those meals with healthier alternatives that have the same calories but much higher protein. These 4 meals is what you can have, plus this, plus a shake.
Every day?
Every day. Number 2, calorie tracking. The ultimate goal is to consume fewer calories than what you burn. To achieve this, David will have to be tracking his meals. Number 3, workouts. David's gonna be working out every day, specifically 30 minutes of steady state cardio on a treadmill.
It's funny that we just talked about this. You also don't need to work out every day. You definitely want to include a rest day. If they're saying just going for a mild walk as exercise, that's fine, but you need to incorporate some rest days in there.
And finally, number 4, no soda.
What?
No soda at all. No diet soda, no regular soda.
I can't have a Diet Coke.
You can't have any type of Coke.
I have like 5 Diet Cokes a day.
I wonder why they're telling him to cut out Diet Coke specifically.
The goal of this challenge is to build consistency and self-control. So if he does that every single day for 75 days straight, he should be able to build enough habits to be able to last a lifetime.
That's not necessarily true, and that's not my opinion. That's not just what I see in my practice. That's just not what the evidence shows.
Big day, baby.
Final DEXA scan today. I'm done tomorrow. Eating all the fast foods, Wingstop. No. Okay.
So much for if he stays for 75 days, he's gonna build up great habits.
Regardless of the number for this final DEXA, he crushed the 75-day challenge.
Exactly, that's why the DEXA thing doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Treat the patient, not the lab value. If you're a person, think about how you feel. If you're a doctor, think about treating the patient.
Your first scan, you're at 27.8% body fat. Wow. Now,
I am at a whopping
11 months later.
Oh my God! Why would you say it like that?
You are down to 13.1.
Wow! That's half. But again, that information is strictly only for the wow moment, like nothing else. And you know what else could have created that wow moment? A photo of before and after, without all the radiation.
You went from 46.4 pounds of fat to 20.5 pounds of fat.
See you later, fat.
Losing a total of 25.9 pounds of fat.
Thank you so much. Wow.
Is he gonna start YouTube boxing now? Who do we want to see? An influx of patients so great. At the different hospitals that I worked, there were different definitions of code followed by a different color. For example, code blue generally meant that someone's heart stopped or they weren't breathing. Rapid response meant something. Code pink sometimes meant that a baby was abducted from the newborn nursery. Code black generally referred to like a terrorist threat or some kind of crime going on. I've never heard this type of definition from this show, but it does make sense. Hospitals get overcrowded, especially in busy areas like Los Angeles. I'm excited to watch this.
Your mama knows when you're lying, crying, or dying. And it's not only my job to teach you right from wrong, but to make sure you don't leave here in 3 years thinking you can do no wrong.
One of the biggest things you have to do as a doctor is learn that there's a lot you can do wrong. I'm talking about over-treating, over-diagnosing patients. That's truly a health hazard that most people don't even think about. So I love this nurse, and frankly, I love this actor, so I'm super excited to see him in the show.
The most famous strip of hospital real estate in the nation, where emergency medicine was born, where the Secret Service preserves a trauma bed for the President of the United States when he is in Los Angeles. This is Trauma 1, Angels Memorial. You are not, under any circumstances, allowed to kill a guest in my house.
I love this orientation. This is so good.
What the hell's a homeboy drop-off?
Gangbangers leave the wounded on the sidewalk.
I've worked in numerous hospitals where the ER was in a part of town where there was a lot of gang-related activities, and literally people would walk into the hospital or get thrown out of a car with a gunshot wound. And there was one time I literally got a patient that crawled into the emergency room bleeding from his femoral artery. So I had to grab a glove, stick my finger into his femoral artery, and pull him to the bed and get the whole process started with the trauma team. I remember that because my hands were so covered in blood, at least up to my elbows, that I was like, oh man, I have to wash this off really quickly because that's the first step of infection control is to wash your hands. I left the trauma scene in the trauma bay and walked to one of the nearest sinks to wash my hands properly because the situation was being taken care of by a lot of doctors. And then I realized I was tracking blood all across the hospital. So the maintenance staff looked at me with these angry eyes and I was like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to make a mess. But literally they had to clean up my bloody footsteps that traveled halfway across the hospital to go wash my hands. It's part of life. It's scary, but it's part of life.
Gunshot wound to the neck, obliterated carotid. He's lost half his volume here. Jesse, we gotta get him out of here.
Let's get the gurney underneath him, please.
All right, you get over there on the other side and push with both legs. 1, 2, 3, go!
So this is very realistic. I know it looks like they're being rough and they're kicking the patient out of the SUV, but that's true because you literally have seconds before the person completely bleeds out and dies, especially from the carotid artery. Plugging the wound obviously is the first step, so they're doing a great job. I'm assuming they still feel a pulse because they said that the artery was still wiggling. So right now, the most important thing is to fluid resuscitate this person, meaning to give as much fluids as you can with 2 large bore IVs. Large bore meaning thick IVs, so they can deliver a lot of fluids very quickly. And then it's to obviously give them blood back, donated blood that we have in the hospital from the blood bank, and give them as much blood as we can in a short period of time.
Look at his pulse, doctor. This man's heart needs assistance. Stop the press until we can intubate. You got it?
Yeah.
Who can tell me why this patient cannot be transfused with type and cross-matched blood? Anyone?
Because it takes time to type and cross someone's blood, so therefore you want to give them blood that's universally considered donor blood, which is O negative blood.
I need a hero. Come on. Come on, let's go find you an attending to annoy.
Honestly, this is so accurate because at times the hospital's busy. You have to find a doctor to shadow or learn from or follow around. And it is sometimes unorganized like this, especially when it gets busy.
What's your name?
Ariel.
Ariel. I'm Dr. Warish, and the truth is we don't know why your father's unconscious, and I can't learn anything out here in the dark. So with your permission, I want to take him inside. And I promise you, I will tell you everything I know as soon as I know it. Okay?
Very good doctor-patient relationship. I found myself very often in the emergency room having very serious conversations like that, and I found like that yields the best results. So even in dire situations when a family is hysterical like that, the more honest I was with them, and I was brutally honest at times, saying that these treatments aren't gonna help your father, mother, whoever I was talking about at the time, and I would apologize. I would say, I'm sorry I'm being brutally honest right now, but I want you to make the best decision with the limited amount of time we have. And people respected that, they appreciated that, because in reality, nobody wants them to lie to them. Nobody wants false promises.
What's your evaluation, doctor?
Patient unconscious, low BP, warm extremities, using spinal shock.
No additional examination.
It's pretty textbook.
Pretty textbook, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, what about you, Dr. Textbook?
The way that this attending is teaching while trying to actively save the patient's life is very accurate. Like, I feel like I'm in the hospital as a resident learning. It's very accurate. This is exactly how it happens. She's not giving the patient worse care, but she's also educating with pressure in a time-sensitive situation to the residents. Excellent, excellent recreation.
654 is normal brain function, 111 is the lowest. He's brain dead. That poor kid.
He was confused that I didn't understand him.
Yes. Called expressive aphasia. It's word salad. Sounds right to him, but the words come out all tossed around.
Yeah, expressive aphasia is really interesting. It's also known as Broca's aphasia, and that happens if you have damage to the left frontal area of your brain. So that can happen in car accidents, it can happen in traumatic illnesses, also strokes. Basically what happens is, in your mind, you know what you want to say, and you think you're saying the right words, but when it comes out, you're saying completely different words. And the way that I memorized this when I was studying and learning about it was boca means mouth in Spanish, so it was like what's coming out of your mouth is wrong.
TPA is a kind of miracle drug that has the potential to bust the clot up and reverse the stroke, but only if there's no actual bleeding yet in the brain. We're gonna need a scan to know for sure.
So this is the one part about this that's pretty inaccurate. So most hospitals have stroke protocols. When a patient even comes in with remotely similar symptoms to a stroke, they instantly go to a CAT scan. They instantly get blood work drawn. You instantly page the internal medicine or family medicine residents to follow a stroke protocol. We instantly call the neurologist and get the robot out. And all of this happens right away because, again, you have a small time of window that you could actually give the TPA. So it's about the fastest way you can get things done. Never is it standing at bedside having conversations of, oh, let's get the CT scan and see if there's any bleeding going on. No.
He's brain dead.
Oh, God. And she's all alone until tomorrow.
Has someone called Child and Family Services to come get her?
Yeah, but you know how that goes. It could be ours.
It gets worse. He's an organ donor. Transplant team is on the way.
Then we can't wait for CFS. I have to tell her.
This is definitely the most medically accurate show I've seen in such a long time. I don't know why I'm getting excited about it, but it's very accurate. These conversations happen in this matter.
The father died, Ariel.
Well, technically, it's a brain death.
So he's not dead?
No, that's... What I mean is, machines are keeping his body in a state of...
What are you saying?
I'm trying to explain to you.
No, you're not. What happened? Just giving it to me straight.
I'm giving it to you straight.
So he's dead, but technically not really, right? No, I want to go see him. I want to see him.
I've had conversations like this. Again, the more brutally honest you can be, at least in the beginning, that's usually the best policy. My general strategy is to get as much of the information out there, console them as much as I can. But if they become hysterical, get upset, tell you to shut up, tell you to leave, never get offended, because what they say in those moments, that's not who they are as people. They're going through a moment of shock, emotional shock. I'll leave them alone in the room with maybe someone watching them, a nurse or someone else, but me, because I'm the one who gave the bad news. Give them some time, and then come see them when some time has gone by. And pretty much every time that I've done this conversation, they apologize, we hug. I understand that they've just lost a family member. I've gone through that in my life with my mom. I've actually had to ask residents to stop doing CPR on my mom, so I know what this feels like. And sometimes people just need a moment to themselves. They need to not see the person who just gave them the bad news, so it's okay to be the bad person. Leave, come back.
Transplant team's en route. I want to tell you how fabulous you look right now.
I do?
No, I wouldn't tell you that, but then it'd be a lie. You look like you've been strapped to the bow of a ship.
So true. This is so true. Interesting about the transplant team, they are a skilled set of surgeons that come in and basically take the organs as soon as the time of death is called. Actually, when I was doing my training, when I was on the surgical unit, I was one of the people that was put in a room with the transplant team to call the time of death. You cannot start to operate on the patient, taking out the organs, harvesting the organs, what have you, until the person is completely dead. So we had to stand there until I didn't feel a pulse and my exam was negative. There was a lot of pressure, and there was a time where there wasn't a pulse, and then it came back, so I had to say, well, wait. And it was a lot of pressure on me being a young doctor, but I wanted to do what was right by the patient and waited until the heart completely stopped. The patient had no pain response, and only then did we begin taking out the organs so they could save someone else's life.
No, don't do that. You don't need any more laugh lines, believe me.
Me? Have you looked at yourself in the mirror lately?
I love their relationship.
I love you
so
so
real.
much. I want to break you in half.
I love you so much, I want to punch your face in.
There was a recent article whether or not it's okay for doctors to hug patients and other coworkers. And I thought it was insane, because if we're gonna get to the state of where we're not allowed to make physical contact with people, humans crave physical contact. I'm not talking about inappropriate physical contact. I'm talking about moments like that where you need encouragement, where you need a hug. Even most recently, I had like an 84-year-old patient that was going through a difficult moment in her life, and I spent an hour with her on a visit. We talked about all the things going on. We treated her medical conditions. She became very emotional and cried and asked for a hug. Of course I'm gonna hug her.
The worst part is the headache. I live above the boiler room in my building. The noise just keeps cracking my head open. Is there anything you can give me for that?
You're 9 months pregnant. There's not a whole lot we can do other than give you Tylenol.
I've tried that. It doesn't work.
You using again?
Excuse me? Mario.
Scars on the inside of your arm, little track marks, right?
None of your damn business.
Bad bedside manner, obviously. I've never seen a more aggressive resident in questioning a patient. You're gonna get the patient angry, whether or not you're right or wrong. It could bring up old feelings or old habits that the patient had that can make them very emotional. They're gonna disconnect, they're not gonna follow what you're saying. No one's winning here by you doing that. Shame on you, sir.
Where are you from?
Norway.
Center Station. Your son has a collapsed lung. We're gonna help him.
How could you know that?
If a Norwegian kid can't breathe, it's a pneumothorax. It's a genetic predisposition.
I've never heard of that. I'm about to have spontaneous pneumothorax. A Norwegian child having a pneumothorax? I'm learning something from this show. I'm gonna look this up afterwards. Actually, let's look it up right now together. I'm curious what pops up here. A significant fraction of families with familial spontaneous pneumothorax have mutations in the gene. The fact that she's just guessing that this child has a pneumothorax without a physical exam is a little crazy for me.
Diesel fumes. Oh my God.
What?
What if it's
She lives on top of a boiler room.
Carbon monoxide poisoning can mimic flu symptoms. She said she lived above a boiler room, right? Oh my God, Mario, it gets you. But not really.
Common symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning is feeling sleepy, having a headache, fatigue, and the treatment is breathing in oxygen.
You're not gonna like this, Neil.
She has to perform a C-section in the rig. Sometimes you gotta be a cowboy, right?
Oh, God. Oh, okay. Now, it's gonna happen very quickly. I want you to reach your hand inside as fast as you can. Carefully. Feel for the baby. When?
Have you made the cut yet?
Yes. Now.
These are very crude instructions, but I guess in an emergent setting, this is what they need to do. It feels like they're making a rash decision here in doing a C-section like this with someone who's not a trained operator. There's so many mistakes that can happen. I don't know. I don't know what the right answer here is.
I got her.
How about suturing the patient back up so she doesn't bleed to death?
Hi, I'm Vanessa. I'm Ariel.
Oh, the organs were used to save her.
Can you hear it? Yeah. I can hear it.
Powerful moment when you know you had to lose your father, but it saved another person's life. Code Black in the books. This show pleasantly surprised me. I feel like all the other shows I've watched so far were written by a Hollywood person and then a doctor contributed some medical knowledge to it. As opposed to this one, it felt like it was written by a doctor and then a Hollywood person injected some drama into it. It was a good show. I mean, it was feel good. It was medically accurate where it needed to be. The interpersonal relationships were accurate. I'm excited for the show. I think it has a lot of potential. And if you guys like this show, please let me know. Give me some episodes to watch because I'm so... Have you tried slugging? Oh yeah, people love this. Yep, people love it. It's actually one of the more benign treatments that I've seen on the TikTok sphere. You can certainly overdo it, but the value here is using a petroleum-based jelly and applying it to your skin, especially during winter time. If you have really, really dry skin, it is essentially occlusive type of jelly where it blocks dryness, so it blocks evaporation of fluids from your skin, keeps it more moist. Just remember, a little goes a long way. Don't overdo it, and make sure if you're doing this in the middle, like at night while you're sleeping, you wake up and you wash it off first thing in the morning. I didn't remove my eyelashes before my facial. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, the eyelashes are gone. I mean, they would have come off in that same way either way, so I guess it's not that big of a deal.
I used to wash my face so violently.
Yeah, you don't want to wash your face too violently. That can actually lead to more inflammation because you want to take off the superficial, dry, dead skin, but you don't want to overly rub because rubbing creates friction, it creates heat. It actually encourages your body to release inflammatory markers to stimulate inflammation.
I used to be like a dude. Have you seen men wash their faces?
Actually, I haven't because most men don't wash their faces.
This is the weirdest sport ever.
What is this? What?
It's called nose pulling.
Is this similar to like where they take watermelon and they see how many rubber bands they can get around it, but they replaced watermelon with human hands?
Two participants are tied together by a rope around their faces, and they have to push as hard as possible to...
There's so much sensitive cartilage there. Look, there's no bone.
But the reason behind this game will shock you.
There should be no reason to play this game.
This game was created to make players stronger and better at dealing with pain.
I mean, there's got to be a better way.
Would you dare to try this?
No, don't try it. Don't dare. You're going to damage your face. You're going to leave long-lasting scars. It's so bad. Like, a cut can heal, but like pressure wounds like that, they can be so debilitating that they don't heal well and you scar terribly. Oh, we got, looks like burns. Looks like pretty significant. Oh, it's a sunburn. Oh, I could feel the pain through the screen. You know, putting that saran wrap, the cling plastic, actually could be beneficial as long as you do it after you run cool water over a burn. Some of the best wound centers in the world actually do that. They tell you to run cold water. Running cold water, not just putting cold water on, it's smart because then the water continues decreasing the temperature and removing the heat from the area. You don't want to put ice. You don't want to go from one extreme to another extreme because ice can also damage skin tissue. And then actually covering your skin with that kind of saran wrap protects the superficial nerve fibers that actually cause pain, and you feel pain because they're uncovered. But if you cover them with that saran wrap, that could decrease some of that pain. Don't keep it occluded long term and allow it to breathe every now and then, and obviously discuss with your doctor, but it is something that is recommended in some wound centers. Whoa!
What was it for coming in?
They definitely did something to it. They hijacked it.
That's some serious hand sanitizer.
That's hand sanitizer is supposed to work. Although proper hand sanitizer has an alcohol content higher than 70%, and in those situations, it is highly flammable. When everyone tells you you're glowing during pregnancy, Wait, it turns out that it was jaundice from liver failure. All right, for those who don't know, you could actually turn yellow. Skin does turn yellow, and jaundice is the medical term for that. And it's not just the skin, notice it's also the whites of her eyes. This happens for usually one of a few reasons. Most commonly, it's some kind of excess breakdown of red blood cells, and bilirubin, the breakdown product of that, starts building up and actually seeping into the subcutaneous tissue. Another way it can happen is if the liver starts failing due to a virus, due to a blockage, due to some direct liver injury. Curious what happened in this case. Okay, I see an NG tube, which means that they're sucking contents out of her stomach, which could be to prep her for emergent surgery, or in unique cases, jaundice can be caused by issues not just with the liver, but also the gallbladder and or the pancreas. Do we know what? We don't know. Okay, I guess we don't know. I wonder, with pregnancy, most common cause? Interesting. Acute hepatitis, specifically viral hepatitis. Interesting. BTS versus the shots. The flex is real. Oh, maybe some skin discoloration? Okay. All right, this is some kind of nevoid syndrome. When we say nevoid, these are like melanosis, melanotic spots where you have excess melanin production. And now in a lot of cases, this could be benign, and it's important to work with the dermatologist just to confirm that. It happens really early, like right after birth, and then it continues, but then it stops. It really depends on which specific condition it is.
Did you know if you mix baking soda with honey and apple cider vinegar,
you get a super potion!
Mix it until it's like a paste, and boom, you got the best homemade natural remedy for pimples. Just put some on your finger.
I feel like people are just putting anything on pimples now. You got some oil? Put it on me. You got some apple cider vinegar, honey, baking soda? Throw it on my face.
Leave it on overnight and it'll disappear.
Or use benzoyl peroxide, which is medically approved treatment for pimples, and it will also work a huge majority of the time.
IDC, nothing takes off makeup better than dish soap.
I mean, there's some other products like the micellar water from Bioderma that takes off products a lot better than that. And why I say a lot better is because dish soap is a degreaser. It's meant to literally melt oils off of pantry. You are not pantry. Your face is meant to have some oil. Oh man, oil is protective for your face. You don't want to completely like dry it out beyond belief. Otherwise, see the problem with humans, and it's not really a problem, it's actually a beautiful situation with humans, where you need a good balance of things. Like, it's not about having acidic pH or basic pH, it's just having the right amount. It's not about having no oil in your face or too much oil in your face. It's about that right balance. When you use dish soap, you throw that balance out of whack. Actually, this is the perfect opportunity to discuss my long-standing partner, Bioderma, who makes the micellar water makeup remover I just mentioned. You see, Bioderma created micellar water in the 90s and basically invented an entirely new category of skincare products. It was originally intended for dermatologists, but it became a cult favorite amongst makeup artists who realized how good it was at removing makeup without irritating the skin. Here's how it works. The creation of the micellar technology is inspired by the actual lipids or fats found in the skin. It works with your skin to preserve its natural protective film, therefore decreasing the chance of irritation. Bioderma even goes a step further and has a selection of products targeted at different skin types, as all skin is not the same. So whether you have sensitive, dehydrated, or oily skin, there's a product made ideally for you. Although I rarely need makeup to remove, unless I'm on TV or something. For those who do, this is the product to get the job done and to decrease irritation in the process. For more on Bioderma and their other evidence-based skincare products, visit their website by clicking the link down below and follow them on your social channels for skincare tips and tricks that actually make a difference. All right, let's get back to the video.
Paul Harrison wasn't always blue, but in 1993, he saw an ad in a magazine.
Oh no, is this colloidal silver?
For a colloidal silver generator.
No.
Paul figured it could probably cure his acid reflux if he drank it, so he drank 10 ounces a day.
Oh my God, this actually is real. Drinking enough colloidal silver can turn you blue.
He then began to suffer from a serious case of dermatitis and figured colloidal silver could cure that too, so he began rubbing it on his skin.
Your eyes can even turn blue.
Paul finally realized he had turned himself blue.
Look, there are no medical uses for colloidal silver. The National Institute of Health has this website for complementary and integrative research where they try and find unique avenues for natural remedies to be incorporated into evidence-based medicine. And even on their website, they're like, nope, dangerous, no reported medical uses, do not use. So please, please don't do this kind of stuff.
Lost boy returns.
Oh, this is the fake thing. This is so fake. I've seen this. These are literally beans. These are not ticks. No, this is BS. You could see the adhesive. These ticks, and that's first of all not even how you remove ticks. Here's a proper diagram from the CDC. You want to try and remove them straight out and grab as close as you can to the skin. The most important thing when it comes to ticks is limiting the amount of time that they stay attached. It really takes like about 36 hours for a tick to be attached and for it to have the bacteria that causes Lyme disease to be transferred, because actually that bacteria lives in the gut of the tick. So it actually starts needing to salivate and percolate your blood through it in order for it to infect you with it. So getting it off as quickly as possible is important. Seeing your doctor. Some people ask if they should test what tick it is, and there's some labs that do this. Bring it with you if you have it to your doctor's visit. We can identify if it's the type of tick that actually spreads Lyme disease.
This is what happens when you go to a dirty barber that doesn't clean their tools.
That's called tinea capitis. That does happen.
You get ringworm all over your head.
Ringworm is kind of a catch-all term. Really, the way we name these conditions is based on the body part, and usually the type of fungus that's involved is the type of tinea. So if you have tinea on the head, tinea capitis. If you have on the body, tinea corporis. If you have it in your groin, it's tinea cruris. We have specific antifungal shampoos and creams for these things.
If you step on a rusty nail, you'll get tetanus.
You won't definitely get tetanus. And first of all, I hope you have work-safe shoes that actually prevent that from happening.
And die. To prevent this, whenever you see a rusty nail sticking out of a board,
you will die. I hope not.
With the nail removed, we can reinsert a new clean nail back into the board.
But then you don't need to flip it over.
Now,
so
we can safely step on this nail and not have to worry about getting tetanus.
No, we get tetanus shots as a prevention for this. The way we treat patients that come in with what we call a dirty wound that is tetanus susceptible is to make sure their vaccine is up to date. Sometimes we use the immune globulin of tetanus. It's really depending on what the wound looks like and how long it's been since your last vaccination.
If you have herpes of any flavor,
I didn't know herpes came in flavors. He talks about it like a soft drink.
Or if you have shingles or chickenpox. These are lipid-encapsulated viruses, and a synthetic oil antioxidant called BHT that you can buy for pennies on the dollar will absolutely fix all of these.
Unfortunately, no, it won't, because it's an internal problem.
Because it blocks viruses' ability to replicate.
So again, you take something that happens in a petri dish, and you think that it works in humans, but that's not how life or science work. That's like saying, look, fire disinfects bacteria in a petri dish. Yes. Do I want to swallow fire when I have a sore throat? No, right? That's not how it works.
Use peppermint oil if you have a headache. Use tea tree oil if you have acne.
Okay, look. I'm gonna let him finish.
Use rosemary oil if you have hair loss.
Hair loss?
Use orange oil if you want to clean your house. Use clary sage if you want to relax.
Clear the spirits.
Relax. And use chamomile oil if you want to sleep better.
All those things are so harmless if you do them in small amounts, and they're for conditions that aren't necessarily life or death. So I'm not gonna badmouth that video. I will just say that the evidence on all of those is almost non-existent, with the exception of like tea tree oil for acne. It has some like a modicum. I never use that word. It's such a nice word, a modicum of evidence for it, but it's like not the greatest level of evidence. So if you have like mild acne and you wanna try something, you could try tea tree oil, but like I don't recommend it first time. Like, I don't understand. There are things that are proven to work, and not all of them work all the time. That's why we have first line, second line, third line treatments, but we know that they work. And we also know their side effects. But then people are like, nah, I'd prefer to go with the thing that doesn't have the evidence that it works. Why? Why?
Ooh, bad thing about woodworking.
Ooh, splinter. Oh, I feel it. I feel a splinter coming. Oh, it's gonna be deep, and it's in a bad place. It's in a bad place. It's in the finger. Is it in the joint? Oh my God.
That's a good one.
Oh, the angle.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, I would not have done this myself. I would have went to an ER and had a hand surgeon look at this. There's too many vital organs there. Nerves, tendons, tendon sheaths. The joint can get infected. You get a septic arthritis. Oh boy.
Wow, that didn't feel good at all.
No, it didn't. Not for me either. God, and his hands are still dirty. At least wash your hands before you do it.
Urine is the #1 anti-aging resource as far as I'm concerned. Urea is the only clinically proven skin moisturizer in the world.
What? Thank you for showing me his name. I'd be more interested with an arrow and where this knowledge is coming from.
Urea is urine.
Your skin looks amazing.
First of all, urea is not urine. Urea is in urine.
It absorbs right away. Any objection would be, is your face gonna smell? You can smell my face.
Prefer not to.
You can wash it off after 10 minutes, but you don't need to.
Because it doesn't do anything.
Because it's already absorbed.
It's literally a waste product, and he's like, put it on your face. Look, fetish is an okay human thing, but don't make it out to be medical advice.
I'm gonna do a sea exfoliant scrub. Hold on. So I'm taking sand and salt water and just...
Oh, that's a little aggressive.
Scrub it all over the face. The sand is made of quartz and minerals, so I just feel like, I don't know, I feel like it's good for you.
Nothing terrible is gonna come as a result of that. Probably. I mean, I don't know what kind of bacteria is floating on in that ocean, because there are some pretty savage bacteria out there, like Google Vibrio vulnificus. Well, maybe don't, because that's gonna freak you out. But...
Let's go.
Oh, that's some physical b-ball action.
Stop whining. No, man, really. Man, for real? Oh my God.
Man, for real? You gonna go get a bud later? Suck on that bud and watch the game?
Whoa.
I love that he has a prescription pain pills in his hand. He has a water bottle. He has a sling. The only time you would need a figure-8 sling would be for a clavicle fracture, which he doesn't have.
If it weren't for these pain meds, probably wouldn't even be able to hold a pencil.
What do they give him? Tylenol? Why do they prescribe it? You can just get it over the counter. Children's Tylenol.
Do you have any more of those slings? Yeah, my mom brought some home from the hospital she works at. This is a perfect excuse not to take today's exam. Hey, yo, I taught you well. Cap.
Wait, why did he say cap? That's not the right use of cap. Cap means he was joking. No cap.
Really didn't want to miss this test.
It's admirable that you even tried.
What else should I do then?
I don't know.
What about if I watch videos on Gunner?
Oh my gosh, shameless self-promotion.
That's right. He has an app now.
Oh my God, I gotta applaud the marketing mindset though. I'm only laughing because it's unexpected.
What happened to your arm?
I heard it playing basketball.
It's on a different arm now.
You told me your mom took you to the hospital last night.
I what?
No!
You were faking it.
Oh, what a detective you are. Kids, don't lie about your injuries. We will find out.
Have another one of those.
I think you've had enough.
Fine.
Thank you.
And I will just take my business elsewhere.
You're not driving, are you?
I'm pretty sure bars have a responsibility to call 911 in that situation. Uber, my guy.
Oh.
Why is she panicking that he woke up?
I'm gonna go get the doctor.
I'm Dr. James.
Are you though? With your ill-fitting white coat and your lack of stethoscope?
What happened?
You went out drinking, and then you decided to drive.
And why does he have an oxygen cannula? He does not have a respiratory issue.
When was this?
This was a long time ago. Let me check. Oh wow, this happened way back in 2021.
What year is it?
It's 2031.
What?
Okay, if he was truly in a coma, he does not just wake up moving all extremities. Atrophy is a real thing. Like, he would have needed intense physical therapy and rehab to just move his arm like this, and occupational therapy, might I add.
You've been in a coma for over 10 years.
Man, props for that. That was good.
I didn't know if you would ever wake up.
I'm so sorry. I should have listened to you. I never thought that it would get this bad. Can you call Amelia? I need to hear her voice.
Amelia isn't with us anymore.
What does that mean?
A few years ago, a drunk driver
Was it him?
ran a stoplight and...
No! No! Please, I'll never touch another drop of alcohol again. I swear. Just please bring my Amelia back.
Mr. Williams, do you really mean that?
Of course.
I'm right here, Dad.
Wait.
Amelia?
Wait. Are you saying they lied about the death of his daughter?
Buckle up, Mike.
You're alive. You look the same.
You weren't really in a coma. Last night, Amelia and I came out to the car to find you. We drove you to the hospital. You were so drunk, you didn't even wake up. We brought you into the room.
What hospital's for rent like this? We connected you to all these machines? And what kind of IV bag is this?
Even though none of this was real, it could have been.
This was the exact wake-up call that I needed.
Send him to jail! Call the cops and say he was drinking and driving. Who's misusing hospital resources like this?
I promise, from this day forward, no more drinking and driving.
My guy, please take out the fake nasal cannula out of your nose. You know it's not real. Who watched that and took something away from it?
You know how many people are not going to drink and drive after seeing that?
0. No, I think more people will drink.
So forget it.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm so sorry. Let's try that again. If you like the content you see, then make sure to follow. Who the heck is that?
That's Tommy. He just started going to school here. I think he has Tourette's.
What's that?
Tourette's is a rare neurological condition in which your body produces tics, and these tics can be made in all sorts of forms: verbal, nonverbal, breathing, sound making, muscular movement. And it's important to note that these are involuntary tics. To say to a child who has Tourette's, hey, stop doing that, have better control of it, is unfair and ridiculous.
It's when someone can't always control their movements or noises.
God, she did a better job than me.
I didn't know a lot either till I saw his TikTok. The proper term is ticking.
There's also a big article in the Wall Street Journal about how some doctors were finding that young children were seeing other children having tics on TikTok as a result of having Tourette's, and they started mimicking it and almost caught Tourette's, even though Tourette's isn't contagious. So it was like a phenomenon that was happening. But I will say that there's been a lot of messed up stuff happening on TikTok when it comes to Tourette's, including individuals faking that they have tics in order to garner attention, sympathy, and all of that.
Who would want to follow him?
Actually, he's pretty popular.
Whoa. You won't believe this. He has over 1 million.
They're basing his value based on how many followers he has, which is not only ridiculous, but also very inaccurate, because everyone has value irrespective of how many followers they have.
But how? I think a lot of people like following someone that's different.
Hey guys, I just got back from the doctor.
Oh no.
And found out I have Tourette's. And people have no idea how hard it is for me. So please, follow me.
That could be the most manipulative 9-year-old I've ever seen on camera, because it was actually not a bad job acting.
I looked it up, and Tourette's can come and go. Once I hit 1 million followers and become way more popular, I'll say it's gone. Genius, right?
Yeah, it's not really curable though, so it's not that genius.
This is a really bad idea, and popularity isn't always a good thing.
Is this like the Yoda wisdom child? I needed him in my life when I was getting my social media popularity.
Sorry again about yesterday. I didn't know you also had Tourette's. I'm doing it so I can get 1 million followers on TikTok.
I actually did a video with Emma Chamberlain where we talk about how getting millions of followers on social media means nothing in terms of happiness or mental health positivity.
Hey guys, I'm live at my school for my party. Wow guys, I'm so close to hitting 1 million followers.
What app is this that if you fake having an illness that you automatically get millions of followers? Like, that just sounds like a negative fueled app.
Guys, I'm gonna be right back. Hey Jaden, come take my phone. I'm just jealous because I'm about to have more followers than you. If you don't tell everyone the truth, then I will. Yeah, right. Have everyone wrapped around my finger.
Okay, children do not speak like this.
The microphone.
I can explain. You see,
Save it! We heard your entire conversation, Mikey. Did you really fake a disability to get followers? That's pathetic.
I feel bad for this kid actor because last time I remember he was faking that he was ill in order to get out of class. Now he's faking a disability to get followers. Why do they always throw him in the worst roles?
Wait, don't do that.
Does it look like I asked you?
This is Alex and Andrea Botes arguing about the next move.
Hey, whoa! I don't need any help from some autistic kid, all right?
Oh no, why? Those diagnosed with autism may struggle with learning, communication, but they also can be non-neurotypical in a way that's beneficial to them. They can have great memory, great spatial awareness, great visualization techniques, like especially for games like chess. It's not only challenges that they face, but true superpowers at times.
Now, the next team to get one right gets the extra credit.
Okay, who should we choose to go?
Me!
You probably don't even know kindergarten math.
Again, factually inaccurate.
Done.
Let's see. Yeah, that's correct. Your team gets the extra credit points for the next test.
You okay? My ankle, it really hurts. I need to sit this one out.
Kyle, why didn't you put me in? You know I've been practicing. You've seen me.
What's he talking about? Do you know him or something?
Yeah, bro, he's in all of your friggin' classes. He was literally just sitting with you, solving math problems.
I have no idea who he is.
But
You're just an autistic kid who'll never be able to do the things us normal kids can. Special needs Sam.
What did you do this time?
He called Samuel here Special Needs Sam at recess, and then wouldn't let him play with them.
AKA bullying, which needs to be addressed by the school because it could lead to bigger problems and escalations.
How could you do that to your own brother?
That's his brother? And no one knew? And they're in the same class? Are they twins?
Starting today, I want you to include him in every activity.
No, wait! That's so unfair!
How is that a punishment? Hang out with your brother! Oh my God, no! If I had a brother, oh my God, how much fun I would have. Especially if we're the same age, and he was a rock star at chess.
Kyle is playing chess again during recess and doesn't know what move to make. But remembering the words of his mom, he takes Sam's advice and ends up winning the game. Another math competition takes place. Sam ends up getting it right and wins it for his team.
Celebrate those with autism because they can help you win basketball games, solve math problems, and win at chess. What about the fact that they're good people and neurodivergent individuals exist and it's totally part of being normal?
Did I just hear you say Kaylee Cosmetics is looking for models?
But it's a makeup campaign, so there would probably be no interest.
They wouldn't be interested in someone like you.
Do you Photoshop your photos?
I hide my vitiligo behind foundation and concealer all the time.
Vitiligo is a skin condition where you actively lose melanin through melanocyte loss, which actually gives your skin the pigment, the color that it is. It can sometimes happen in single areas of your body. Sometimes it can happen on one side of your body. Sometimes it can happen throughout your entire body. Unless it runs with another autoimmune condition like type 1 diabetes, a thyroid disorder, vitiligo on its own is not necessarily dangerous, with the exception of being out in the sun. You don't have protection from ultraviolet light in that area.
We have these two beautiful swans, yes? And they are surrounding an ugly duckling.
So you only booked me because you think I'm ugly?
Why are you upset? This is a great opportunity for someone who looks like you.
Oh God, what an asshole. This is me always trying to find the silver lining. If someone called me the ugly duckling, that means I knew I was about to develop into a swan. And I feel like I'm kind of that ugly duckling. When I was younger, I was not a handsome fella.
You can have your money. I'll keep my dignity.
Facts.
You don't need a magazine to reach an audience.
You just need Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, MySpace, or YouTube.
Maybe if you stop using Facetune and wearing all that makeup.
That's weird advice from a mom. How about the lesson should be, show your true self. Whether or not you get millions of more followers, it doesn't matter because that's not where your value lies. That should be the message.
As time goes on, Wendy's following begins to quickly grow. People love how authentic and real she is.
Even if her following didn't grow and she was being authentic, I promise she would be happier. Ignore the followers here.
What are you doing here?
Well, I have a 10 o'clock photo shoot.
You are gonna be wearing this little number. Fabulous. You two are gonna be wearing those.
Wait, hold on. There has to be some kind of mistake.
Wendy's the lead on this campaign, so she's top billing.
I don't know who says that in shoots. She's making the most money.
No, but she's slaying it on Instagram.
God, this is so superficially terrible. Oh my God. She's slaying it on Instagram. That's what makes her amazing.
1 million? How is that even possible?
How is it even possible that this video exists? At some point, the millions of followers will slow down. If you are being disingenuous the whole time, that come down is gonna be brutal. But if you are being honest and true to yourself, you will still enjoy doing what it is that you were doing. And that makes all the difference. Oh, back tuck.
Are you all right, sweetheart?
I'll be fine. My legs just feel a little tight.
Okay. What will we have for dinner?
Oh, I've been craving pizza lately.
Pizza?
Yeah.
Oh, you need protein. You need electrolytes. Pizza's not gonna cut it.
Well, pizza has electrolytes. Pizza has protein. Actually, milk and cheese have a surprisingly high amount of protein. I'm not saying it's healthy, don't get me wrong.
How's she doing?
She's coming along. Hey, wait. You okay?
This dad's acting skills are way too dramatic. He belongs on a telenovela.
Just push through it. That's all she had to do. Just push through it. You got it, baby.
My God, she's about to faint. Maybe you don't want her balancing on the 6-inch beam.
Oh my gosh! Somebody call an ambulance!
No.
The human voice syntax feels like it's been done by a robot. Oh my God! Someone call an ambulance.
The reason you've been falling and your legs went out today is
It's because the neurons in your brain are misfiring.
She'll still be able to train, right?
That's the other thing. This disease, it's degenerative. Your motor skills will continue to worsen.
This is the unrealistic part about it. In a medical setting, in order to get all this information, it takes multiple visits, multiple tests, multiple specialists, and even then we will not have certainty to give advice like this.
I would take the next few weeks to process everything and get your affairs in order.
Get your affairs in order. She's a kid. Who wrote this? Take a few minutes to process this and I'll come back and you could ask me any questions you need because I know that you definitely did not understand the nuance to what I just said because I just gave you a life-changing diagnosis.
A few days later, Isabel and Dennis are back in the gym. Eventually, Isabel collapses again. This time, Isabel's left in a coma.
I mean, if she collapsed in a way that she fell and had a traumatic blow to her head, that will obviously accelerate all symptoms.
2 years pass and Isabel's condition still doesn't improve.
The medical team has suggested it might be time to consider alternatives.
It took 2 years for them to discuss quality of life with this family. Every day that you're on a ventilator, we need to perform all sorts of tests on you. These are destroyers of quality of life that must be discussed with the family, especially when there's no signs of improvement and only proof of symptoms getting worse.
They didn't have People magazine, so I got this novel.
Will you give it a break?
The argument that this family is about to have is a real argument and actually does happen. And that's to be expected, which is why we have family counselors, we have psychologists, hospice professionals, geriatric specialists if someone is of older age.
The Olympic team trials. You should be there. Did you just... She just squeezed my hand!
That means her brain function's increasing. She might have a fighting chance after all.
This doctor is ridiculous with no information. We don't make decisions and statements willy-nilly because we know the impact that our statements have. I attacked.
By any chance, if you have any other ground beef that's already leftovers?
It's all sold. We sell it on a daily basis, fresh all the time.
Okay, and so there's nothing that would expire?
Oh, no,
or
man.
about to expire?
No, man. We don't sell expired product here.
You don't want to sell expired beef because expired beef will literally have listeria, E. coli, all sorts of bacteria in it that can cause a really serious colitis, requiring IV antibiotics, requiring a hospital stay, possibly a surgery, a colectomy where you're cutting out pieces of your intestine. Like, you don't want that.
How much would 2 pounds of the beef fat be?
$2.53, ma'am.
I will take the beef fat.
So instead of using protein, she's just using the beef fat?
By supplementing the meat with the beef fat, Stephanie saved 75% on the ingredients for her lasagna.
But then you're changing the nutritional makeup of the food completely. Like when you go to a store and you buy 80% ground beef, that means it's 80% lean and 20% fat. Here, now you've changed the proportions to be like the other way, like 20% protein and 80% fat. That's terribly unhealthy, like probably the unhealthiest thing you can do to the food. Like red meat on its own already has some troubles when you overeat it and then you create heart disease. This is like quadrupling that problem.
Now to save money, I multitask with washing dishes and cooking meals with my dishwasher.
Oh, no.
I just gotta make sure I wrap it really well or else the food will get wet.
With the dishwasher reaching a temperature of 170 degrees, the lasagna will be fully cooked in 1.5 hours.
No, because you don't know if the temperature is like that all across, unlike an oven where it's controlled. The pennies that you're saving here will pale in comparison to the one time that you get sick and your hospital bills are out of control. That's what I'm trying to say, that it's not that I'm judging this process. It's just not a practical process, it's not a healthy process. Ideally, this should be changed.
Yeah, it's good, right?
To be cooked in a dishwasher? The lasagna tastes like water.
Yeah, and the kid rightfully said no. If I had a patient that was doing that, I would seriously discuss whether or not we can change that, and if the patient was not receptive to it, there may be a conversation about getting some people involved to go check on the welfare of those children.
I go dumpster diving in the trash of upscale grocery stores in New York. These stores often throw away a lot of very high quality foods.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Including organic foods and really nice prepared foods.
And there's a lot of these stores in New York that have relationships with food banks so that they don't make waste of this food and they can feed our homeless population in New York. Just what they don't want to have happen is constantly people just waiting outside of their restaurants because then it creates a pattern where then it might demotivate some individuals individuals from actually going to a shelter, seeking refuge, getting the proper help that they might need, etc.
I'm guessing these tomatoes got thrown out probably because they're among a bunch that had maybe 1 or 2 that were spoiled. So often the store would just throw the whole batch out.
It's not like bread. When there's a piece of mold in any part of the bread, you gotta throw the whole thing out. With tomatoes or berries, you could just get rid of the ones that have mold on them.
There's a chicken asparagus with 2 sides here. My friends might like this, even though I don't like chicken. This is dated today.
What is it? These are some vegetables with turkey and chicken, mashed potatoes. And this is a chicken fried rice.
So everything's in the same pot?
Yeah, this is a medley.
I actually like eating foods in a medley, and my friends make fun of me of it. They're like, Mike, you're eating at a horse trough. But I like it that way. That's why I get Chipotle burrito bowls. They didn't seem too fond of it, but that has nothing to do with her saving money. She's just not a good cook. If my friends came over and asked me to cook for them, they'd probably make the same face. While pulling expired sandwiches out of a grocery store garbage bag might be affordable, I don't think you should ever cut corners when it comes to eating a healthy and safe diet, which is why for the last year, I've made sure to get so many of my ingredients from ButcherBox. They deliver fresh, certified organic chicken, wild-caught seafood, and grass-fed beef right to my front door. This saves me so much time and gives me peace of mind every month knowing that I'm getting the highest quality meats. I don't have to get in my car, drive to the grocery store, park, push around a shopping cart, and then lug everything back home. Having the food brought right to my doorstep just means I get to eat sooner and easier. Recently, I've been enjoying their wild-caught Alaskan sockeye salmon, which is not only delicious, but packed full of nutrients. It's seriously so good. ButcherBox practices thoughtful sourcing when it comes to selecting their products too, which means that I can trust their high-quality food is better for me, the farmers, the animals' welfare, and our planet. They're super flexible with what you can get in your box too. And if you're looking for a more affordable option, their cheapest box actually has enough food for 24 meals, meaning you and your family can have a home-cooked meal 5 nights a week for an entire month and then some. You can choose your delivery frequency too, so you get exactly the foods you and your family love, all in an eco-friendly, 100% recyclable box. Not to mention, shipping is always free. I think that's a pretty good deal. Click the link below to claim this month's exclusive limited time offer for ButcherBox plus free shipping when you use my link. All right, let's get back to the show.
In the past 6 years, Mark has volunteered in more than 100 medical studies, and the riskier the trial, the better it pays.
Well, actually, I'm not going to even say that this is a bad thing because we need more volunteers for our research.
2 studies that I'm waiting on that I have not been in yet is a flatline study. This is a really good one. What they do is they stop your heart for 1 minute, but you still breathe. Stay there 14 days, pays $25,000. But the FDA kind of stepped in and stopped that.
Whoa, you flatline for a minute and they keep you breathing and then bring back your pulse through epinephrine? My God, I can't even imagine.
The second one that I'm really anxious and really excited and waiting to do, what you do is you go in and you donate one of your testicles, they replace it with an artificial one, and when you check out after 14 days, you get a check for $35,000.
That's an expensive testicle. $35,000 per testicle? I never knew that there was a study that did that. Not all studies are this dramatic. A lot of them are more for medications that are well-known, well-tolerated, just kind of comparing different patient populations. That's why I recommend everyone visit clinicaltrials.gov to learn more.
Mark participates in so many clinical trials that he gets free checkups every month to see if he's a good candidate for each study.
So a checkup that's seeing if you're a good candidate doesn't always mean that you're getting a good checkup, a good preventive visit. During a visit, you don't just get a checkup, you also get active risk assessment and then advice on those risks. So this isn't a replacement for a checkup.
So what I'd like for you to do is take off your shirt.
Okay.
And I'll come back in and we'll do a brief exam.
Okay.
Okay, and also, I gotta check out your gyms.
Okay.
So we'll take a look at that too.
See, I like that the doctor's laying out exactly what's gonna happen during the visit before doing it, because I see a lot of young doctors and older doctors alike rushing through these procedures, not getting the patient enough time to mentally prepare, to physically prepare for what's gonna happen, whatever the exam might be.
Being a lab rat, you have to be very healthy. Your labs have to be in certain ranges and levels, in a healthy level, to be a healthy control.
When he says a healthy control, that means he's probably in the group that's being held at a constant and not be given the experimental treatment. The thing is, with randomized controlled studies, which is the gold standard of scientific evidence, you want to be blinding not just the researchers, but also the patients, meaning not knowing who's getting the true treatment and who's in the control arm. So in a double-blind study, he wouldn't know if he's in the control group or not.
Your heart sounds regular and I don't hear extra beats.
So what we're listening, when we listen with the stethoscope to the heart, you want to make sure that the rate is consistent, not too fast, not too slow. It has to be a regular rate, not irregular. That could be a sign of an arrhythmia, like AFib is a common one, atrial flutter is another. But then you're also listening for the flow of blood. That's when we can detect something known as a murmur, which is how blood flows through the different chambers of the heart or different arteries. And when we hear certain sounds, that murmur, depending on which location we hear it, where it's most intense, we can then decide the area that we're most concerned about. So like all these things need to be taken into consideration, and then we could order further testing like an echocardiogram, which is an ultrasound of the heart, to visualize exactly what we're going on. And usually if you're really good with the stethoscope, you can predict what you're gonna see on an EKG or an echocardiogram because it's a great tool.
Drop your drawers, and we just kind of, examine both testicles. We rub them between our two fingers.
You want to use more medical terminology rather than layperson terminology because that can make people feel uncomfortable. When you're doing it, you also want to visualize the area. So a lot of the times I see on these shows, they're doing stuff like this, like they're almost looking up and not looking at the region that they're making contact with. Then you could miss all sorts of rashes, hair conditions, masses that you might see with your vision, not with your touch. Overall, it's an incomplete physical exam in my eyes.
Low testosterone levels affect roughly 39% of men. A low test result for Mark would take him out of the running for the testicular study.
The risk to you is pretty significant. I'm not endorsing the surgery.
Mark's test results are well below the acceptable range set for the clinical trial.
When you're seeing a primary care doctor like myself and you're going in for a preoperative clearance, we're not deciding if the surgery is right for you. We're deciding your risk for the procedure and if there's any way we can optimize your medical state or your health in order for you to have decreased likelihood of adverse effects from the surgery.
Maybe going on testosterone replacement would be a great thing for you.
Okay.
Have you ever thought about doing that?
Well, how about asking him if he has issues that could show that his low testosterone is clinically significant as opposed to just an asymptomatic lab finding? Like an asymptomatic lab finding is not always necessary to be treated, especially men of an older age. Like this is where you gotta be really careful with these hormone replacement clinics. And I'm not saying anything specifically about this one because this might not be showing the whole visit, but just in general to keep in your back of your mind.
While it doesn't pay as much as the testicular removal study, Mark does manage to land a spot in a trial testing testosterone replacement.
Each one of these pills represents to me a car insurance payment. $75 every Monday, cash, $50 every Tuesday, $125 a week, times 4, $500 a month equals my rent and my car payment.
Your rent and your car payment's $500? That's very reasonable.
One of the main things that I look for when I go dumpster diving now are medications, especially prenatal vitamins.
Okay, very dangerous, specifically when it comes to medications, because a lot of times medications are not in correct pill bottles and may not be labeled correctly, and therefore you may not know their expiration date or their dosage, and that presents a whole host of problems.
I think expiration dates in general are kind of,
I'm not sure what she means by but there is some truth to the fact that a good amount of the medications, if stored properly, could be good past their expiration date for a short period of time. And the reason why I say that is because there was actually a study done by the government to see that the medications that were stored in the military bases, they were stored in correct locations with the correct conditions. 5 years after, some of them were still effective. And the ones that were expired past that time were just less effective. They kind of lost their efficacy. And you have to think as a doctor, when is that dangerous? That's dangerous if you're thinking about taking expired emergency medications like epinephrine, insulin. These are medications that if they're not effective, you're in danger. Taking an expired Tylenol, the real risk of it is that it might not work. But taking expired epinephrine when you're having an anaphylactic attack means that you can die. You see how there's a difference there?
a lot of times they put expiration dates on things way earlier than they need to just to sell more products.
That's not the case. It's done in a way that you need to understand common use. And when you think of common use, most people do not properly store their medications. They frequently store them in the bathroom, which is a high humidity environment, which is not good for any medication. Medications that are like in gels and in liquid form tend to be even shorter expiration dates, meaning they're good for a shorter period of time because they're more likely to go bad.
Bingo. It's folic acid, which is good for pregnancy.
I mean, folic acid is important for pregnancy. It's advised by the AAFP and the CDC that individuals who are considering getting pregnant or are pregnant take 0.4 milligrams to 0.8 milligrams, which is 400 micrograms to 800 micrograms of folic acid as a way to decrease the likelihood of neurologic defects occurring during pregnancy.
Every dollar we spend on anything other than food is a waste.
Wow.
I don't see the need to spend money on furniture. I'm a floor guy. I sit on the floor, and it's very comfortable.
I mean, to each their own. Like, this isn't a medical issue here.
What I did was I found some 2x4s, and these are styrofoam peanuts. So I just take all the peanuts, throw them in there, and then I cover it up with bubble wrap, and then this is a tablecloth, and it makes a perfect bed.
I mean, I just don't know if I would go to say perfect bed. I could see a lot of those like foam peanuts move around, and then as a result, you're laying on the hard floor and putting pressure on your shoulder that you could wake up with quite the painful rotator cuff or labrum.
To find good roadkill on the road, and if it's fresh, and good, I'm a butcher. I have no problem whatsoever eating something that's fresh and good.
I mean, this person's a butcher, so at least they have some experience on whether or not certain foods are safe to eat. It doesn't seem ideal given that it's not controlled how these things die. Did a car run over it? Did it eat some poison, then die, then a car ran over it? You know what I'm saying?
Tonight we're serving barbecued rabbit and a tossed salad made with flowers that we've gathered.
I mean, you could just grow vegetables. Like, you can go to an apple tree orchard and pull an apple off of it and eat it and know that it's an apple versus, like, I can't even begin to guess the nutritional facts on a dandelion.
It was weeds, all weeds, dandelions, flowers, clovers, things that you just don't normally eat.
Yeah, again, I don't know the nutrition facts of those things, but it doesn't seem safe. Or necessary, that's the goal here.
One little thing, a little discovery that I've made, way to save on coffee. I enjoy my coffee in the morning. I have
Me too.
made my own little coffee device out of an old sock.
Like, you couldn't use a shirt, you went for the sock? They definitely asked for this on the show. I hear the producers already. He's like, I use a piece of cloth. They're like, can you use a sock?
I developed a method with rubber bands to keep my soap levitated off of that water. It lets it dry, it prevents mildew, and my soap lasts double the amount of time it would normally last.
I'm with it. Another one that I'm with. It's upside down. These are maneuvers that we do to actually try and expedite the baby turning to be non-breech, meaning head down. But it's funny that they threw a little Will Smith action there. Prince of Bel-Air. What is it, gallbladder? Can't you see I have a lot to do? I made these. You made stones? You're just supposed to hold what I give you. Get out, go on. I make these. Oh, this is the cutest thing ever. Aww. Whenever they personify organs and make them cute like this, it makes me want to hug them, especially when they make these. Harry Potter and the COVID-19 test. Oh my God, this is a scene from Harry Potter, right? This is like the giant. Where are my Potter fans at? Look at my glasses. Should I do the What house do I belong in? It's exactly what I was afraid of. What? Skeletons. I have some bad news for you. You know what you have inside of you? Don't tell anybody that I told you this. A friggin' skeleton is inside you. I can only say that because I'm a doctor and I know. America leads the world again. Snack masks back on the go. Easily fits one hot dog with bun, small bag of chips. If you laugh, you probably have no friends. Caution, wet floor. I remember when I grew up, I had a shirt that said, I have lots of friends, you just can't see them. For anyone who doesn't know, this is H2O. These are little molecules. H2O molecules. When the sun gives someone skin cancer from 152 million kilometers away. Meet the sniper. Is the sun 152 million kilometers away? Is that an accurate fact?
91.4 million miles.
Oh, 91.4 million miles is the same as 152 million kilometers.
You know this?
Yeah, I just did the conversion.
147.
Well, I did an average.
So you were wrong.
The sun is a sniper, but it's also a giver, like of life.
Chlorophyll? Wow. Was unprepared.
Me. What can I do to get healthier, doctor? Doctor, use a bicycle and cut the carbs. Me. Oh, that's good. When I was 10 years old, We bought skateboards, not for our feet, but for our fingers. And we would do cool tricks with our fingers. And then when we got bored of those, we got BMX bikes that we again rode with our fingers. When a patient comes in with something in their rectum and you ask how it got there, I love that there's an Eiffel Tower. Also, it's the wrong there on the rectum. I'm a grammar police person. Was there something I missed?
Yeah, you notice something in the patient's rectum, and you would ask them, how did it get there? What would they say?
I fell.
And what's the image of?
Eisel. Her. I only date doctors. Me. Touche, Dr. Pepper. Why do doctors hit our knees with that hammer? It's simple. We get a kick out of it. Honey. Never stand or sit in front of a patient when you do that, especially as a male physician. It's very easy for them to be like a little bit hyperactive or nervous and go wham! Pentagon, hexagon, octagon, patient-gon. That is not true. You can revive a patient from asystole, which is also known as flatline. And you know how you do that? It's not shocking the patient. It's chest compressions, chest compressions, chest compressions, and perhaps a little epinephrine. What gives people power? Money, status, mitochondria? I love that it's posted in Reddit, technically the truth. Mitochondria really is the energy center of the cell. Yes, I'm gonna keep saying that. I'm sorry. When your patient's heartbeat is fire, so you let the whole squad listen. Oh, those are dope beats. By the way, this is how people studied back in the day. I just don't know why all these doctors are so elderly. Let the young doctors listen, jeez. Me, doesn't eat all day. Me, having one sip of wine. Yeah, if you don't eat, it's really easy to get overly drunk. Like very, very easy. If you eat a heavy fat meal before you drink, it slows the absorption of the alcohol, and as a result, you don't absorb it readily into your blood, and you have a lower blood alcohol content as a result. Therefore, you don't get as drunk. When they tell you, you look just like your mother. The funny thing, this has been pulled up on my computer for a minute, and I did not even make eye contact with the mother. And who's this other person hugging the baby that also looks like a child? Am I dying? We're all dying, just at different speeds. But what about me? You're like the Usain Bolt of dying, LMA. Oh, that's so mean. You know what's funny? Part of my medical program in Overlook Family Medicine when I was a resident was to go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and we would look at paintings and talk about their medical aspects, their human aspect. You cannot lose weight on a starvation diet. I went 30, 40 minutes, nothing. Interestingly enough, and I'm gonna get medical here, don't mind me holding a piece of my camera equipment here. The reason why starvation diets don't work is, one, they don't last. Second, fat literally has a mind of its own, and your own body has a mind of its own. So if you start starving yourself, your metabolic rate will drop, therefore you'll burn less calories throughout the day to try and conserve energy and keep the fat on. Your fat is smart. It's gonna try and survive and thrive. Basic Pokemon. Dr. Mike, I love that they use this image of all images. Attack is P-Whoop, or 2 attacks is chest compressions. A human Pokemon commonly found sporting a snug fit shirt and a smile can debunk fake medical news and prescribe potions to sick Pokemon. This is actually well made. I dig this. Why would a fly land on something like this? Rats should be ashamed for falling for this trap. Bears, this is ridiculous. This must be med school is not a trap. I think med school is an amazing place to go if it's right for your soul. And the only way you know it's right for your soul is to know yourself. And I have that tattooed on my body, and I'm gonna constantly say it over and over again. Before you do anything in this life, know thyself. No, you can't just hijack my cell membrane and force me to make copies of you. Haha, protein printer go brr. For those of you who don't know, this is the COVID-19 vaccination mRNA process, where we actually code for the mRNA spike protein that's found on COVID-19. We then put it in a lipid encapsulated membrane. We shoot it into your cell, and then your cell's like, oh, you can hijack me and I'm just gonna make copies of you. And then your cells realize, oh no, this is not our own cells. Let's kill it and create a defense to it. And now you're protected from COVID-19 without actually getting COVID-19 or being exposed to COVID-19. Hashtag science. Dr. Mike, don't use Q-tips in your ear. Me fights the urge for 3 hours. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Oh no! Ah, there's so much wrong with this picture, man. Not only do I have like salad in my mouth, there's dressing all over my lips, my chest hair is sticking out, the microphone lapel mic is visible, I'm wearing that dirty apron. At least my hair looks decent. Ugh. And then I said, I've not progressed from my writing style since 5th grade. I've been getting by on the excuse that it's doctor's handwriting. No, folks, it's bad children's handwriting that I never practice. And now with computers and cell phones, I have an excuse not to. Appendix, normal appendix, inflamed appendix, ruptured appendix, acute appendix. Aww, this is really good. I like that. Aw. I mean, not aw for someone who has a ruptured appendix. How come after like age 26, your body starts to make clicking sounds when you stretch? Is that the warranty expiring? It's most definitely the warranty expiring. Although I wouldn't say 26, I would probably raise it to like 28. I'm 31, I'm definitely starting to feel it. One of the main reasons I feel it is because my 16-year-old nephews are starting to get close to beating me in basketball, and that's a problem. What y'all call this? Mouth chandelier. Although I'll be worried about those tonsils. There's some serious crypts in there where stones can form, also known as tonsil stones. Karen with her essential oils. I don't fear you. Coronavirus.
Then you will die.
I talk smack about essential oils when it comes to making false claims. But guess what? I have essential oils all over my apartment. There's a diffuser that sprays. Oh, it's a nebulizer, sorry. A nebulizer that nebulizes. I have those diffusers that like you put the little reeds in. I like essential oils, which is weird to be at war with them. But I'm only at war with the essential oils that claim to be healing when they're not really healing. The coronavirus doesn't care if you smell like lavender. Me, my online classes, tasks, Dr. Mike. Anniversary of this channel is coming up. If you have a great idea of something that I should give away, jump into the comments section right now. My 3-year-old is not vaccinated, and there is currently a measles outbreak in my state. Any suggestions for precautions I can take to protect her would be very much appreciated. Frank's hot sauce.
I put that on everything.
Me trying to make it through a semester. Honestly, when you're just going, you just gotta go. He kinda thick. What do you think about that? He kinda thick. What do you think about that? So if it's an STD, how did I get it? The person may not understand that it's a sexually transmitted disease and they got it because they had sex with somebody. Or they say that, well, I never had sex with anyone outside of my wife, so how did I get it? And then it's like, maybe your wife cheated? Doctors before an x-ray be like, don't worry, this is perfectly safe. And then the dude goes to Egypt to press a button. Imagine how many x-rays they're doing all day. If they're gonna expose themselves to that sort of radiation all day, that's really unhealthy. But getting a single x-ray, especially if you need to identify the source of an illness, that's worth that's an acceptable level of risk. I was today years old when I realized that caps on medicine bottles are actually serving sizes. I use this method with Adderall and I'm currently cutting my grass with scissors. I've never heard this. I mean, I know that about like Pepto-Bismol and the liquid medications, the cap has a serving size on it, but it's usually written on the cap. Otherwise, I don't think that makes sense for pills and tablets. And if you did that with Adderall. Nursing supervisor, me after forgetting to wash my hands. Yes, we have nursing supervisors that are very vigilant. They're like, hey, wash your hands. The reason being is back in the day when people didn't wash their hands, contamination rates, infection rates, hospital-acquired infection rates were through the roof. Remember to always use skincare products as directed. What's about to happen right now? Is he using a toilet brush? I don't get it. Oh my God, what is the last one gonna be? This is not medical. It has no explanation. When you find out the kid bullying you is unvaccinated, so you sneeze in his lunchbox. Modern problems require modern solutions. By the way, I just watched some show called You. It's super creepy, and the killer on the show actually killed his victim using peanuts because he knew he was allergic. So clearly this theme is going around nowadays. Boyfriend, you are my drug. Girlfriend, you can't live without me? No, you cost too much and you ruined my life. Lol. Me trying to hold my farts in the OR. It's not medical humor. Yeah, you probably shouldn't fart in the OR because there's a lot of people in there and you're trying to do a surgery and save someone's life. Keep it in. Soldier has a tiny scratch on his leg. Civil War doctors. Yeah, honestly, I don't know what was up with surgeons and doctors back in the day. It was just like, patient has an infection, bleed them out. Patient has this, put leeches on them. Patient has a cough, give him some heroin, it will control his cough. The gender neutral term for sugar daddy is glucose guardian. Glucose guardian. I still think gender neutral term, you could still say sugar daddy. because I guess, I don't know. An actual depiction of me at 11 p.m. trying to focus on the same page for 2 hours because I spent the whole day looking at memes. Okay, you're not allowed to use this channel as a reason why you're not studying and procrastinating. You could use this channel as a study break, but please don't let it distract you for 2 hours. Eye. Has eyelashes to prevent stuff getting an eye. Eyelash gets an eye. Eye. You have become the very thing you swore to destroy. Is this Star Wars? You guys are probably gonna bash me like crazy because I have no idea where he's from.
Afraid, are you?
Back in my day, we worked a lot harder than you kids today. Your soda used to have cocaine in it. You haven't. If you study really hard in neuroscience, you too can become a United States Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. This is really funny. Ben Carson, oh my God. So random. That's like, if you study really hard in medical school, you too can have a YouTube channel. That's very successful. When you look in the toilet of your patient with C. diff. What? Thomas has never seen such. C. diff stands for Clostridium difficile. It's basically an overgrowth of bacteria that happens in your colon. Usually as a result, at least nowadays, of using antibiotics and wiping out the rest of the bacteria, and then C. diff overgrows and causes all these symptoms. Massive, massive, can I say it again? Massive diarrhea with a horrible smell. I said you're the good kind of fat. Oh, this is so cute. It's two avocados just chasing each other. You want carbs? You can't handle the carbs. Honestly, after keto, I can't handle the carbs either. I had my first bit of sugar this weekend, or I had mochi ice cream and a cookies and cream milkshake. And I feel like I almost had a seizure afterwards because it was so good. But then I also had a stomach ache, but it just tasted so good. When you were the first to leave the exam, yes. Honestly, every time I left an exam, there would be a conference outside. What did you get for 36? What did you get for 38? And without a doubt, every time, the attendings or whatever, the professors would come out and shoo everybody away from the room saying, you're making too much noise discussing the exam. Medical students on clinical rotations. Yo, this is so true. Walk into a hospital. Whose ever white coat is the cleanest, if you look at the residents and the med students, whoever is the freshest, that person is the least experienced. Me trying to study neuro. I had more trouble with pharmacology, learning all the inside chemistry behind every drug, mechanism of action, half-lives. Oh, hey you. Do not confuse your Google search with my medical degree. Google search is not equivalent to